Can't hear you, no audio. How about now? Anything? Now we have audio. Okay, weird. That might just be that the encoder was struggling because it's too hot out. Again, 106 in the shade. Yeah. Also, the battery's been running low because the encoder's got to use the fan so much. Anywho, welcome everybody. It is too hot, but we're still streaming today. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Welcome to the earliest Cretaceous Cedar Mountain Formation out in Grand County, Utah. Welcome back to a live dinosaur logical. There's the quarry over there. We're hanging out here in the shade for just a minute, trying to let the encoder kind of, but yeah, let's see. Make sure, let me check diagnostics on this real quick. If the message persists, try refreshing your browser. Okay, it is charging, and we've got decent bandwidth here. 2840 kilobits per second. Doing okay there. All right. Yeah. IB Tape, how are you doing? Welcome. Today's stream, we might even cut it short today. We shall see. But it's pretty hot out here in Utah. We've run out of ice and a lot of other supplies. So, yeah, and we've got a really small crew today. But let me walk you around. First, if you're here for the very first time, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach. Rain or shine or blazing hellish sun. I try and do this 7 days a week when I'm out here in the field. I've been digging up dinosaurs since almost every summer, and most summers more than one field region. I'm working in different places. So all told, it's like 20 plus field seasons, I guess. I should calculate that out at some point. But yeah, it's been quite a few. In fact, actually, hang on. Well, I'm not going to do that now. That's not super interesting. Especially not at the beginning of the stream. But as a dinosaur paleontologist, I study dinosaurs. I publish on them in the scientific literature, and during the summers, I go out and dig them up. And that's what I'm doing here with the Utah Geological Survey, which is part of the Utah Department of Natural Resources. We've got both of Utah's official state paleontologists on site today, Don DeBlue and Jim Kirkland. And yeah, really small crew in the quarry today. This is way fewer than we've had for the past few days. Several folks have already left, and then we've got and Laura went on a little excursion today to excavate a sauropod femur that was reported. Doing that somewhere over there now, and we're here in the quarry continuing our work and just, you know, trying to beat the heat. I soaked my shirt with water earlier. Some of the other crew members did that too, for that nice evaporative cooling, and that is helping. So, happy about that. But anyway, if it's your first time, welcome. We're digging in the very earliest Cretaceous period. Rock's about 142 million years old. This is, as Jim says, probably the oldest multi-generic dinosaur bone bed in the Cretaceous anywhere in North America. So, there we go. I forget how much my voice carries. There's Fisher here, trying not to be cut in half by this beam of death. Yeah, the shade towers. We got gaps in them. So, yeah. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing okay.
Nice. Yeah, Marcello?
Hey,
Want to shake
Danny
it?
and Stream.
Yeah.
Marcello made a big score.
Yeah, that was awesome. Shoot.
Big score.
Do you want to show that off? If you still have the
Camera?
picture?
Oh, I can show it off here because
Yeah.
I blew up and edited
All right.
image
Nice.
too, but I have it available. But
Yeah.
yeah. the Facebook
Nice.
post.
Tag.
Excellent. But,
Give
yeah,
credit to where credit is deserved.
been pretty cool this morning.
Dang. So now you all can open my phone.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think we got the code.
Yeah, I just typed it in. You weren't looking, but they were.
Yeah.
They're pointing right at my phone.
You play it.
And Wombat Hole, all these fossils will end up in Salt Lake City, first at the Utah Geological Survey facility, but their forever home is the Natural History Museum of Utah, NHMU, in Salt Lake. So that's where all these fossils will be long after we're all dead.
And generations later.
Yeah.
Okay. The dot in my hand.
There we go.
I got it. The
Nice.
reflection's good. Can you see what they see?
Because
Very often all you see is a reflection when you do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like,
I'll move it around at
Yeah.
least.
so you
So
see the
hopefully it cuts down on
two.
the glare
Yeah.
at some angle.
And then I blew it up
There we
some.
go. Nice.
And that's a millimeter scale. The crown of that little tooth is constricted at the base.
Uh-huh.
Is only 3 millimeters long. It is a tiny tooth.
Yeah.
I mean, that tiny dot in the center of the palm of my hand, not the bigger dot, the tiny one is the tooth. And because of the constrictions, the shape of the root, I'm pretty sure it's, dinosaurian.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no crocs like that.
Yeah.
So the three possibilities right now, top of the list, baby Therizinosaur, because
Okay.
our Therizinosaur in here gets quite a bit bigger than Falcarius.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be a real baby, which is a possibility. Heterodontosaur, late surviving Heterodontosaur.
Which we don't have yet from this.
No,
That would be a
not
big deal
known
if it
in
were
the
that.
Cedar Mountain Formation
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
But certainly they could be here. And the ones we have that are in the late Jurassic, early Cretaceous are pretty small animals.
Uh-huh.
So that's a possibility. Or a toothed bird.
That would be pretty cool
Yeah,
too.
a toothed bird, I think,
Yeah.
is as likely as about anything
At
on
this
that.
point in the Cretaceous, very beginning, most birds I think still have
A lot of birds have teeth
yeah,
still.
the majority
'Cause
of
this is
Cretaceous
Valentinian. They
birds,
started
yeah.
losing them in multiple lines.
yeah.
But we're still, near at the base of the Cretaceous.
Yeah. You think this is Valentinian and not Berriasian?
No, this is Berriasian.
Oh, okay.
No, I was
yeah.
saying in the Barremian, like,
Gotcha, yeah.
Liaoning,
Uh-huh.
you get up there and a lot of the birds don't have teeth.
Yeah.
And they're clearly independently lost in multiple lines. And, those are like some of the questions is, what is the selective pressure?
Yeah.
Teeth take a lot of energy, maybe added weight, and the beak is, keratin's lighter.
Sure.
Don't know, but it happens independently.
Well, there's a big idea too
yeah.
that it decreased gestational time. So like the young would not take as long to hatch out.
Oh yeah,
If
it was
you
just
can
have a
skip
beak.
that step.
Yeah, they could just eat with the beak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this thing is, someone will study it at some point. It'll be curated. It'll be sitting on a pin mounted.
Yeah.
Be great if we can get an SEM. I mean, not SEM, or an SEM scanning electron microscope shot of it, or scan it in a micro CT scanner,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
get a high resolution model of it.
Yep.
And that'll be a lot easier for people to study.
Yeah. So
But-
that's why this kind of slow, meticulous work is so important. Marcello found that this morning, doing exactly what he's doing right now.
Yeah,
So-
and basically, even so, having worked lots of microvertebrate sites,
Yeah.
and some that are very productive,
yeah.
often you don't see any sign of teeth and bones in a microvertebrate site because they're dispersed in the rock such a way that you can have a good site where there's lots of mammals and things preserved, and you just see an
Right.
outcrop.
Yeah.
But you wash it, pick it under a microscope, and concentrate it.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden you realize all these little microvertebrates to give us a complete snapshot of the ecosystem.
Yep.
One dinosaur, it could take years to do. If you got a good microsite,
Uh-huh.
you can get 40, 50 taxa in a year or
Right.
two.
Yeah.
Where you can there's this proportion of fishes, this portion of bony fishes versus sharks, freshwater sharks. So we've got these kind of turtles, these kind of lizards, these kind of salamanders, these kind of frogs. Here's some bird teeth, there's some mammal teeth. It's like, build out an entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
And this lower Cedar Mountain has almost, we have sites that if the rock would break down,
Uh-huh.
could be quite good, productive microsites, but it doesn't break down.
So what Jim means, like, if the rock horses were amenable to being screen washed, if like you could run it through some metal mesh screens, then yeah, we could find all kinds of cool stuff in it.
These rocks tend to have a background cement of barium sulfate, barite.
Okay. These ones here in the quarry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, so it goes down into little cubes.
Right. So it
You
doesn't.
know, so you end up with a bucket of clay cubic sand. You know, it's like sand size.
Yeah.
That's about as small as you can get it, and that's the size of the stuff the gold, the mammals,
Yeah.
and things are. And it's just the volume change isn't enough. You're just turning it into a sand.
Yeah.
From this stuff. No, I would love it. And anybody who can figure out how to break down barium sulfate
Yeah.
without destroying
The fossils
teeth
inside,
and bone,
Yeah.
call me.
Yeah.
I'll be your friend.
Nice. There you go. Any chemists in the chat? Want to do some applied chemistry? But yeah, good to have everybody here. And Chunk La Funk, hey, welcome. Now if we can find little tiny fossils like that, we will. But most of the stuff we're finding here is bigger. So this is already capped, but
Like we know there are tiny minnows in here.
right, yeah.
They're time prepping. I mean, like Molly is a big one, probably. Goby, guppies.
Right, yeah.
All over the place.
But we're mostly after, well,
Microbes.
we'll any part of this environment that's scientifically informative, we'd love to have. But the stars of the show here are dinosaurs.
No,
so.
it's the mite down.
What's that?
It's the mite down.
That frass from the other day, yeah. Pretty good too, but I came here for the dinosaurs. So here's a scapula. It's underneath this blaster cap. I was showing this off the other day before we put the cap on it, so I'm sure we've got a clip of that at some point. But most of the stuff we have here is larger, but we've not been finding as many things. It's been a little frustrating. It'll probably be like...
large part, I think we're up too high.
Yeah.
Getting down. Like here, you're getting down to it. A lot of I still think you're high there. These beds are,
Yeah.
sliding
Yeah,
over
if you
there.
don't find something in an hour, you gotta just keep moving rocks.
Yes,
Yeah,
peel
yeah.
the rock. You just
Yep.
peel the rock down.
Over here, there's lots of those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any to show off over there?
There'll be lots of those.
Yeah, go over
Let's
there.
go take a look, yeah. We'll hang out with Uncle Don.
I've heard
Yeah. We got Crystal over here too. How's it going, Crystal?
Good. I have a bone under my bone.
Oh, nice.
So the vertebra, and then I started trying to pedestal, and there is a bone that we haven't identified.
Yeah, that's...
we spent
They tend to log jam like that, so...
Yeah.
level of
Finding a bone in your trench is a
exactly.
classic problem.
half the jackets in that box.
It's the
came
worst
from
problem.
right
Nice.
in here.
Yeah.
All under the other bone bed you did.
Half of those came from.
Decent number of specimens in here, yeah, excellent. Who did this one? Like half jacket, it's all mummified there.
Well, yeah, I'm doing that to make up for the extra plastic gypsum that Fisher used over there.
Uh-oh.
No, it's just a little rib frag.
Yeah.
It was capped. I mean, it's just a little rib frag.
Yeah.
And then it got hit, so it split, and then I took the bottom, and I just.
Gotcha.
It wasn't worth its weight in gypsum. So.
Yeah.
But no, there's a. Yeah, I took the little skull. He's got a nice
Rock the rock.
vertebra there. Got probably a vertebra here. That's a really nice centrum here. I took two out of here already.
Nice, okay, you got bones everywhere over here. Shoot.
Here,
Yeah.
like a humerus there, there's a bone over here.
Yeah.
Something underneath it on the plant thing.
Over here?
Little tiny, super tiny little bone right there.
Yeah. Conveniently circled in Sharpie. Lovely. The stuff is here.
Lots of rib frags. Yeah, I think because of the way it
We know they're going to fool around.
goes down,
We gotta dig deeper on that
Yeah,
side.
we gotta go
Yeah, to the north.
so that's why I came up here.
Yeah.
So I don't have to dig as deep.
Nice.
Oh yeah, got here. You can see something going under there too.
Yeah, there's bones sticking on the side.
It's not super convenient there, but to keep going.
What number are we up to so
Deeper.
far? Mine was 703 this morning.
Yeah, I think we're 707 now. I
Shoot.
did those
So-
other ones.
707 bones or other specimens. Bones, teeth, claws,
Little
other stuff.
tiny. Probably a piece of a neural arch there. Little tiny.
Nice, yeah.
Bit there, something little there.
And what's this big thing right here?
I think it's a humerus, little baby.
Oh.
Iguanodon humerus.
Upper
This
arm
thing's
bone from
been,
a little baby
yeah,
iguanodon.
it's the elbow
Danny,
side.
under your
and
butt,
Yeah.
we got a pretty big multi-hundred-pound block that's probably a couple hundred pounds in it.
Just from right here where I'm.
Probably got like
I'm at? Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been like down here probably.
Oh wow, that was one number.
Yeah.
Shoot.
There was so much we couldn't take it apart.
So we've got well over 700 bones then
Oh yeah.
from this site over several years.
Oh yeah, because it
Yeah. Good stuff.
can be more than one bone.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thanks, Don. Yeah.
Anyway.
Clytemnestra says, archaeology person here, does site context or specific specimen placement not matter as much in dinosaur paleontology compared to archaeology?
Oh no, we're
It-
mapping all.
Just as much, yeah. So we do,
Well, maybe not.
we have a whole mapping thing here.
There's no culture to be found here.
Well, there's taphonomy.
We just want to
there's-
know relative position. and
Yeah.
so on.
So here, I can show you the quarry map right here.
There's still multi-horizons.
Specimen log right here. And then quarry maps. So we map everything out using a Cartesian grid system. So the provenance of fossil specimens, I think, is just as important as provenance of archaeological specimens. Especially when you're thinking about geology. You know, if you have a fossil that's been excavated from a site and you lose all the information about where it's from, that thing is effectively worthless. It might as well be a paperweight. The real value of a fossil is in what it can tell us about, you know, its place in the history of life on Earth. Yeah,
Context is everything.
exactly. Yeah,
Context is everything.
yeah. So I can offer a piece of advice, I guess, if any of you are ever out in a spot and you find what you think could be a scientifically important fossil, leave it in the ground. Don't try and dig it up, because once you extract it, that's already a lot of information that's lost. So if you see something cool in the ground, take some pictures, take a GPS reading, or at least note very, very carefully where it's at so that you can tell
Almost every phone
somebody where to get it.
will record the location.
Yeah.
Unless you shut it off.
Yeah, so GPS location is a really easy thing to do with a phone nowadays. And then email that to your local paleontologist. That's part of what you do. And you and
All the
Don do, right,
time.
Jim?
Yeah. No, we
So,
get
yeah.
we get sometimes more than a dozen inquiries a week. Sometimes it's junk, and sometimes it's like, let's go check it out. I mean,
Can you think of a time when somebody's reported something like that and then it was a new taxon and it was named after them afterward?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
people report a new thing to me, I name it after them all the time.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm a big believer in that. Yeah, our big donors.
There you go. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Our new
So there you go.
Ankylosaur is going to be
Justin
cross-built.
Hoffman.
Yeah. Major donor Justin Hoffman.
Well, Discovery.
I want to pull up this image real quick and show you, chat,
Discovery card.
because it's
You wrote a good essay.
it's a lot of fun. Jim named a dinosaur called Ned Colbertia Justin Hoffman. Here.
$25,000 donation.
Ned Colbertia.
Kid, you know, won this contest.
So, I love how that's the image on Wikipedia. Is
Kept me my job for next
little
year.
Justin Hoffman himself. That bone. But this kid won a he won a contest, I think, to have a dinosaur named
Discovery
after him.
card, yep.
Yeah, so it well, you named it Ned Colbertia after
Edwin H. Colbert.
yeah,
you know,
famed
Ned
vertebrate
Colbert,
paleontologist.
my first mentor in
Yeah.
vertebrate paleo.
And then Justin Hoffman is the kid right there. It's so funny that that's the headline image on Wikipedia for that dinosaur.
And of course,
Yeah.
the quote I put I just posted a picture of Ned,
Yeah.
you know, on Facebook, and my
Uh-huh.
quote is, Professor Kirkland, you pronounce it blank, 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 fill in a dinosaur name here.
Fair. Yeah. He's always correcting you on pronunciations.
Oh,
Yeah.
always.
That's pretty funny.
I had
Yeah.
never heard anyone pronounce them correctly, so I met Ned.
Yeah. I mean, you just read everything in books.
Yeah.
If anything, it's kind of a sign of sophistication when when you mispronounce a word because that means that you've only ever read it before. Nobody taught it to you, you know? You learned that on your own. So, yeah.
But that is the quote, and he must have told me that 100 times.
Yeah. Anyhow. Ms. Art Rule says, do you draw the fossil on the chart, on the map? Yeah. Yeah, we do a quick little simple drawing on there. Yeah.
If we have a lot of bones in a place, we'll do photogrammetry. We'll make a 3D model.
Right, yeah.
You do that right with your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and as you pointed out, we have these labeled,
Right.
you know, coordinates in here.
With the
You get a
pink tape,
3D
yeah.
model. It's tied to, you
Yep.
know, ground truth, which was tied, you know, measured originally by total station, tied to, you know, the quarter sections, the map, the Western map units.
Gotcha, yeah.
You know, because we started laying the major grid down,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 25 years ago in this area, or
Yeah.
more than 20.
Very appropriate, given that at the UGS, paleontology is part of the mapping division.
Well, you know, the U.S. Geologic Survey was
Yeah.
the paleo.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Totally tied together. You know, and for mapping, you got to understand what are the things you're mapping.
Yep.
And we have used paleontology to help correct major errors in maps in national parks.
Uh-huh.
You know, just because the fossils tell us there's no way that's what's going on.
Yep.
On the fossils, you know, they live at different times. Oh, that's not Jurassic.
Right. Well, good stuff. I might as well put the camera down and actually get back to digging. Try and make some progress here.
Undercut.
Yeah, trying to. It's tough because it actually plunges down below. I don't know how far. So I've got to dig down and see.
Yeah, around some of you have to take out some of that back wall.
Yeah. On that. This is my scapula from the other day.
Not a trench, you know, like
Not
peel
my
back
scapula,
up
but
there.
my iguanodon. The iguanodon scapula that I first
I wouldn't
uncovered.
take a trench. I'd make as big a flat surface behind it as possible.
There we go. Wow.
No, I
108 in the shade.
might have to. Yeah. I think he could figure that out before he has to go back and cover it.
Crimson, yeah, we are at the iguanodon site. We'll be there for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, pretty much. I don't think I'll be streaming from elsewhere, but we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to hear something good.
Yeah, from the sauropod site. Back to working over
Tell me
here.
if it's Brachiosaurus or not to be either way.
That'd be pretty cool if it were
Only one
Brachiosaurus.
animal has that feature
Holy
on
cow.
the femur.
Yeah.
Brachiosaurus Morrison. Big femur. They should say it have in a really weird position, or you don't get that.
Novastar says, is it ever feasible to do this stuff at night under lights for your guys' health? No.
Well, it actually is, but at night people are wanting to play. Because most people are volunteers. Yeah. Oh yeah, sleep during the day in this.
I mean, yeah, in order to do that, we would have to be able to, like, sleep during the day and work at night, and it's kind of impossible to sleep out here when it's 108 degrees in the shade. So, yeah.
Oh, I'd put a building over this in a minute. But they won't let me. I won't.
That'd
You know,
be
we can
nice,
work under
yeah.
a building here for 20, 30 years.
Yeah,
You know?
just like Cleveland Lloyd.
Yeah. Light it well.
There's a dinosaur quarry near
Put a little air conditioning unit
near
on.
Elmo, Utah, called Cleveland Lloyd. It's since been redesignated
Oh, well,
Jurassic National.
Absolutely.
National Monument. There's a little building built over it,
It's all wilderness.
so you could work in there 24/7 if you wanted to. Although it does get really hot in there
Where?
at Cleveland Lloyd during the summer.
Yeah, they're rebuilding that whole building.
They are?
It's going to be climate controlled.
That's good. Yeah,
On the new-
because it was a mess the last time I was there. Like that building would flood during rainstorms and stuff like that.
Tearing those buildings down, though, which is sad. I think we should giving them to us. Take them apart and put them up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could buy one of those built about 60,000 now.
Talsarine says, do
Then you
paleontologists
put concrete down.
have to sign up for each,
You
or
got
they
a
get
building,
assigned to them by an
2,000
employer or other
for
organization?
climate control.
It depends. Out here,
You know,
we are
power-
volunteers working for
power to
the
light everything up.
Utah Geological Survey.
Okay.
Jim and Don are the only ones getting paid here because they work for the
Well,
state.
do that. You try out this-
But
talk to them about it too, and they're
Yeah.
starting to be a little more conducive.
I started working with
I
this crew
realize
back in
that's a
2022.
huge fraction of that part.
I just
Duh.
sent an email to
What,
Jim,
like a truck
who
route?
contacted Don,
Now to build put a
and they said,
building
come
up
on
like
out.
Cleveland Lloyd over
So I've been working with this crew every summer since
Can
then.
you camp out by the quarry, or are there designated camping
They
sites?
have campgrounds.
Anyway, welcome, Tulsarine. Good to have you
Yeah,
here.
it'd be good if they had a prep lab if they're also
Yeah.
repository.
Right now, I'll
If they
explain what I'm
put a
doing.
couple million into a major
This right
predator,
here,
predator,
This
I tell you what, let's move the Utah Raptor.
presumably scapula that's under this jacket. I need to be able to cut around this, basically dig a moat around it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm starting to do here. Got to take this stuff down, and that way we'll pedestal it, and we can eventually put another
We're
another
gonna do that.
jacket over it and flip it.
I'd fight with my dying breath to see it happen, but you're not gonna do that, so I'm not gonna waste the time.
Yeah.
Got a nice line on the sun here. I like the shadow of the pole's just the length of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
but perfect slot. The orientation of the shade.
field henge.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. This pole all the way across one line.
It was a good time for me to move. And be in a
Oh, you're
completely
not in.
shady
You're not.
spot.
Yeah, you don't want to be there. Sit right there. in the
Nova
sun.
Star wants to know if there's any sites like this in Death Valley. Not with dinosaurs. I think Death Valley is all Cenozoic. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got an amazing, like Miocene track area.
Okay.
True.
World class. I mean,
Huh.
as good as anything of that age on Earth.
Uh huh.
And it's up in the side canyon, and you know they've published some stuff on it, whatnot. And they talk forever about doing interpretation. The rock's kind of fragile, and they get nervous.
Hmm.
You know, tourists will try to get samples. You know.
Oh.
know if is it Barstovian?
I don't have the exact age. It could be, but it's incredible. It's cats, all kinds of things.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
camel and mammoth.
We should go see it, Fisher.
Fisherman or
Elephant
Gomphothere?
Or
Oh, yeah.
Gomphothere, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't
It
know.
has to be at the very oldest Barstovian one if it's got Ferguson's.
Yeah.
This would be cool.
But
Would you
it's
wanna go see that?
diverse as some.
I was in Death Valley this spring.
Oh,
I don't
cool.
know if you can see it.
I've never been to Death
Because
Valley.
you could probably
Yeah.
get permission as a paleo student and stuff, you know. Like you say, I'm not going to take a sample, but, you know.
Yeah, you
But
have
it's
to
an
get.
amazing site.
I like Death Valley.
Death Valley is a beautiful place.
And
Really
Gyroflex, I appreciate the.
John Day,
The thought.
incredible. I want to base this whole
Um,
thing on John Day.
If you
Yeah, it's
Very
donate
impressive
some money to
with
the
that place.
Ko-fi link,
yeah. I should go to see.
then I'll buy some ice cream or something for the crew with
Yeah,
that.
well, it's 4
I can
units.
promise
It
you.
covers a lot
What's
of
that?
Eastern
Careful,
Oregon.
Danny.
Man,
Why?
It's got almost complete tertiary recognition.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, maybe not ice cream because we don't have room in the freezer. Fisher makes good.
I mean, unbelievable.
There's a history there. Oh boy.
It's 4 units, like we're planning here.
But
4
yeah.
units,
I walked so you could run.
spanning from the base of the Cretaceous.
You can learn from Fisher's mistakes and
all the
travails.
way up to the base of part of the upper Cretaceous,
Yeah.
almost continuous. But 4 units, because you can't do it all of it in one
What
place.
are you doing?
But
The
that's how
Murph's
John
Wharf,
Day is.
Devil's Tower had lightning around there last night. Have fossils been found in that area?
Northwest United States, there's nothing-
I don't really know where the Devil's Tower is. It's in Wyoming, but where in Wyoming?
Let's see it. When I go out there, one day I'll go
Right
out
now
there.
they're evacuating much
So it's
of
going to be
the
somewhere on like the Snake River Plain or something.
The visitor center's been evacuated.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that?
So it's just igneous. No, I don't think there's many good fossils from around there. Other parts of Wyoming certainly.
You have to look at a geological map.
Fisher and I and Marcello too. Yeah, we're out in southern Wyoming this past June. Just a couple, well, a month ago, I guess. Shoot, time flies.
It's been too long.
Or time doesn't go as quickly as I thought. I thought it was longer ago, but no, it was just last month when we were there. But tons and tons of fossils in Wyoming.
Erosion that shows me stuff. You know, it's like
It's kind of a paleontological wonderland in some ways. Although that's, I don't know, that's being too cutesy about it. There's good fun halfway.
yeah. But not
Yeah.
better than Utah.
Yeah.
Brent Breithaupt, man, was he on my case?
Yeah.
You don't have a better record than us. We do. Yeah.
Don't they have
Wait a
better
minute,
Triassic
the
stuff in?
lands, what?
Don't they have better Triassic stuff in Wyoming?
Not even close.
Like Chugwater and the.
Chugwater's not that good.
No? Okay.
We got some major sites. Most
Okay.
of our stuff's not very well developed.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that Triassic stuff didn't have a single fossil in it.
Yeah.
They've got a new Triassic dinosaur from Wyoming as of the past couple years.
Heck, Scott prepped one, or at least an ornithodire skeleton, incredibly delicate
Uh-huh.
skeleton from a gravel bed that we found.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, real long, slender limbs and stuff, articulated. You know that stuff's out there, and it's definitely ornithodire. It's the kind of thing you say, oh, this could be a pterosaur ancestor. It's,
Whoa.
yeah, incredible. It'd be a living side branch of it, but I think Randy thinks it's in that group. The proto-pterosaurs.
And Fake
Scott
2D.
Madsen prepped.
Are you glamping? You guys have a freezer in camp, right? Definitely. Very, very luxurious. Yeah. You should see our bathroom facility. My goodness.
With an awesome view. Now, people would pay millions to have that view.
True, yeah. And to poop in a metal box.
I am mad about it.
Be nice.
It is.
With a view.
It is.
Under
It is.
the, under the stars.
It is very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get the
Under the
full
sun.
moon. Cooking under full moon. It's really good.
Broad-rimmed hat. That's the goodies. Gaston Quarry,
And
site we made was on the edge.
Claire, what was that
View,
list?
Arches National Park.
Utah, New York, Montana, and North Dakota. What's New York? I don't know. What are you talking about? And thank you, Reese, for the 5 gift subs. Really appreciate that.
Letting it happen.
Thank you kindly.
See arches
Wonderful.
from the quarry.
Yeah. Oh, state paleontologist. Oh, Jim might know.
What?
How many states have state paleontologists?
Number, it's increased because they've gotten a couple more
Yeah.
recent years. There's like 10 maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think we have one in California.
Not
But
sure if you do. I mean, I know they've talked about it,
yeah,
but I don't know if it's ever gotten through the legislature.
yeah.
California is the largest.
Uh-huh.
Most likely place that would house it, or they may decide to house it in like San Diego or something. But Nevada's got one now.
Nevada has a
But,
state
yeah,
paleontologist. Who's
yeah,
that?
Basically, it's what's his name? It's Reno.
Josh Bondi.
Yeah.
Oh,
he
is that
serves,
Bondi?
he wears a
Good for
couple
him.
hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got into that facility as initially a state paleontologist. Boom, we want you as director,
Uh-huh.
So he's wearing 2 hats. But,
So we've got Utah, we've got Nevada.
yeah, South Dakota, North Dakota,
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Clint Boyd
New
is.
York, Ohio,
Okay.
Oh, I did not know they had.
Florida, they have one.
Okay, maybe Florida.
Oh.
Montana used to. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah, it was Jack.
Yeah.
I don't know. He could have just shifted that position over to
Yeah. So we've got
Campizo or something.
we've got at least 8 states with
Yeah.
state paleontologists. Yeah. And Salty Anchor, thank you for the 5 gift subs. I really appreciate that. Have we got a hype train going? Nice. Really appreciate the support. Thank you for making this possible. Thank you, Hogan, for the 100 bits. Lovely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Clint Boyd, North Dakota, is doing very good things.
Although he's being moved up to state geologist.
Yeah, but he's still going to oversee paleo.
Is he really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's what they do,
Yeah.
They give you more work if you do good. Like move up.
Right.
It's like my boss, Stephen Kirby.
Uh-huh.
He was head of the mapping and paleo program. He's now assistant director.
Ontogeny.
Good for him.
And head of mapping.
Yeah.
2 jobs. In the technical review chain, he's got to review manuscripts twice. a good personality for that position. So,
Yeah.
and you signed someone to deal with some of those. He just got scored big time with state map. You know, we got our project funded.
Nice.
You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, he did very well because he's got to put that proposal together and
Uh-huh.
saw it through the whole process. Millions of dollars we're getting the federal government. Science.
So we got a question in the chat, Jim. How does one become a state paleontologist? Are you elected by a committee, or I know the answer. I'm asking for the chat. How's that work?
Yeah, well, you got to get, you know, there has to be a position,
Uh-huh.
and then basically you'll do an open search. They're hiring directly for the state paleontologist.
So it's actually a job.
Title position. Mine was.
So it's not like being state bird.
Yeah, it started as part of the history.
Okay.
Initially, and then shifted over to the Geological Survey.
Huh.
And basically, you know, I was up against a bunch of biologists. I was the only geologist in the finalists.
Uh-huh.
And they decided to hire me. And I think a lot of it was because I named Utah Raptor.
Yeah.
Another thing was I wrote a Star Trek novel. One of those guys was a pretty hardcore Trekkie.
Wait, really? That had a,
Truly.
that played a role in this?
Played a role. He didn't know who I was.
That's so
I-
funny, Jim.
I know he co-wrote a Star Trek novel, so that's cool. That's how these things happen.
Got any Trekkers in the chat right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how this stuff happens. It's, you wish it wasn't.
Yeah.
The very best at all levels. You know, from president to janitor, the
Uh-huh.
best janitor ever. You know, and it's like who you know half the time.
Yep.
You know, having a TV show. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm happy.
bit higher,
I like
there we
my
go.
job. I serve the citizens of Utah. Continuously remind myself that's a mantra.
So you're telling me state paleontologist isn't like
Ontogeny.
official state dinosaur, where a bunch of fourth graders write to
Yeah.
to a state representative?
I want to bring Jack Horner to Utah State Paleontologist. Now it's, you know, and hiring someone of that kind. I mean, part of it is, you know, how well you can get along with politicians, other scientists, because you're, you know, ringmaster of all kinds of stuff going on. Other federal agencies versus state agencies, other state agencies. You definitely need a certain level of patience.
Right. The right kind of personality.
And man, you good. You know, there are times when everything comes together. Like, you know, this is gonna be a TV show plot. Can't be this good.
Right.
It's like, oh, you guys can't see the vision. That happens. Yeah, I mean, either way, you just never know. Utah Raptor State Park. I worked on that for over 30 years. Got hot, cooled off, got hot, cooled off, got hot, and made it.
Oh, we've got people in the chat asking. They asked me the other day too, whether you heard about that new episode of Star Trek with dinosaurs in it.
I saw it.
You saw it. What'd you think, Jim?
I should have had Triceratops herd there at the last vignette.
Yeah.
But it was pretty obvious to me where they were going. No, it's pretty good, but they should have done our Star Trek novel. You know?
Yeah.
But they, you know.
Have they ever done
did
that?
it with Voyager too. I mean, it's like, certain continuity.
Uh huh.
You know, Voyager finding a race of intelligent dinosaurs that descended from hadrosaurs. So where did they survive? You know, in
Right.
the other quadrant. You know, it's like, oh, you messed up your continuity. But you can still do, you know, the story I want, where you know you can't do it with a Gorn anymore. They take that into weirder creatures. But yeah, but in the story they wouldn't have Gorn, so we had to call them Clan Rude. They can still do that story. Things like they're not doing continuity, but they did it in part because they were responsible for us existing. So we thank Captain Pike for the reason that humanity does exist at all. And don't you forget it.
Let's see if that angle's any good. Keep moving the camera around, trying to find a... Tilt it up a bit.
That's a fun story. It was a good episode. I would like to have seen a Triceratops herd as they flew over the last vignette of the thing. Instead of the sauropod.
It's supposed to be in the Maastrichtian?
Oh yeah, no, the asteroid hit. They watched the asteroid.
Oh, really?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, not from space.
Sauropod herd. Were they Alamosaurus?
Oh, they're
They must have
Allosaurus
been
are all over
in
the
South
place.
America.
They
weren't in North America.
Northhorn.
Interesting.
Tyrannosaurus Rex too.
Oh,
Yeah, so Tyrannosaurus Rex and Allosaurus, Abelina, Northhorn occurs.
That's what I'm going after this.
You go Northhorn? Yeah,
Nice.
Northhorn.
Oh, out
J
there with
Live.
J Live? Yeah.
Yeah,
Say hi to brother Josh for me.
I will. I most definitely will. We got a Torosaurus for you.
I know, it's like this whole thing with Jackson Torosaurus thing. It's like, there are a lot of Torosaurus up there. I know where there's Torosaurus stuff. You know, we look at our locality database. There's nothing that's ever been thought to be a Triceratops. And there's T-Rex. And people were looking at it the other day, and they're like, you know, well, it's certainly, even by Greg Paul's definitions, it's T-Rex. Which drives a few people nuts. I know. There's some folks in New Mexico who would like to see something else.
Oh, like with Macraensis, you mean?
No, you know, the other one or whatever. They, you know, very often they try to claim this one group there that the Northhorn Nascimento stuff,
Uh-huh.
you know, is like early Maastrichtian.
Yeah.
You know, and they've redated it recently.
Yeah.
You know, it's late Maastrichtian, so you can't correlate the Northhorn to that, and then say the Northhorn, you know, because of that, is early Maastrichtian. You know, you're chasing your own tail. And they've got good new dates. I think Ray Rogers and you know, that whole team published those dates. You know, Tom Williamson. I mean, it's a consortium of good scientists. That, anyway, said, yep. And so the southern dinosaur fauna with sauropods, tyrannosaurs, critosaurs, you know, no lambeosaurs yet, the critosaurs. Paris, you got Parasaurolophus down here. That probably, no, it's not up in the Nascimento. The critosaurs. You know, it's a different fauna in Canada or the Hell Creek. The only thing pretty much is T-Rex.
Eventually, that's going to get split up. Like, I don't know.
Because the age dates are like within like 20,000 years.
Yeah.
These are great age dates.
Sure.
And it's totally tied into paleomatics. So the correlations between north and south are like some of the most solid age correlations over that distance ever made in the history of life. I mean, anything in the Cenozoic. That we have lines that you just see it's different the whole way. Why is a huge question because it makes no sense. But you cannot escape it. What I like is the fact T-Rex is like, you know, unless you're talking to Greg Paul, you know, it's like you can't tell them apart. They all seem to be.
We don't know specimens yet. Like, eventually we'll be able to.
Yeah.
It'll be split up, like I was saying.
Southern one, you know, Macraeus is Campanian. I thought I just redated those rocks.
Really?
No, it's probably latest Campanian.
Interesting.
Maybe earliest Maastrichtian.
Because I've heard other people say that it's within the morphological variation we see in Tyrannosaurus rex.
But it's almost 10 million years older.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so it's,
Yeah.
wow.
No, it's definitely in the 70s.
Huh.
Millions of years old, yeah.
I mean, that...
Tim Lawton, you know, from New Mexico State University, was involved. He actually called me, and we were talking. And he's going to be at GSA. You got to see our thing on our new radiometric dates. And stuff around truth or consequences. What is that? Elephant Butte Reservoir, where they got that critter. They've been doing a big study there, and we got a number of really solid days.
That's good because it was really hazy in the paper. The Macraensis description
But, you know,
paper.
but when they call me to tell me that stuff, you know, they're pretty excited.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
You're not going to go to GSA? Damn it. You be at GSA.
But that'll have major bearing on the whole debate whether Tyrannosaurus is descended from Asian tyrannosaurs like Tarbosaurus or from Daspletosaurus right here in North America.
Well, or Asian stuff through Mexico. I think the Mexico connection's key to everything.
Interesting.
I really do.
So coming down.
I think
down
the
the
North
California
Slope,
coast
Alaska,
and
and
then
Alberta is the farthest area from China you can get, because you go all the way down the Pacific coast, come in, and then go north again.
Interesting.
That's why euplacephalines and all those critters are not related to Asian stuff. You know, but our southern ankylosaurs and stuff, our hadrosaurs are closer. Everything seems to be closer.
I've got a little bone over
it's
here.
like they're not crossing 2.5 area mountain range from a continental collision. We're not talking even, you know, a thrust belt mountain. This is a chunk of Canada colliding with Rangralia. That's the core of Alaska, and non-stop across the North Pole into Siberia. You know, it's not like a little land bridge. It's a major, multi-mile high mountain range at the North Pole. These animals, to get to the North Slope, have to cross that rugged continental collision mountain range.
Right.
I think it's a hell of a filter barrier. You know,
Interesting.
and Nick Longridge, who's been doing work about it, he agrees with me. He's like, he says, I got an Edmontosaurian in Mexico now. 'Cause they're down there too. They didn't cross up north. You know, it's like, I'll publish. Stop making people in Mexico mad at you. Because I think this stuff is some of the most important work going on in North America. And it's like people need to partner with our colleagues in Mexico. Great people. It's great, you know, but you're not taking their dinosaurs. That's, you know, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, but working with Mexico. Claudia Serrano, who's one of the people in charge of that stuff, she's a good friend of mine. You know, it's like, you know, one of the guys that's been involved with it, people, because he's friends with Nick, people have really been getting on his case. It's like, Nick, how do you get people so polarized? He's working with Claudia too, but she's more mild mannered, so a lot more people are taking her work, I think.
Yeah.
It's personalities, but Mexico, majorly, it's as I've told you, the Upper Cretaceous outcrop belt from the Gulf going all the way across to Baja. It's 1,000 miles across, more Cretaceous outcrop than the entire western United States across Canada.
Just in Mexico.
Square miles.
Yeah.
Across northern Mexico. Look at the width.
Yeah.
About 1,000 mile north to south belt.
Shoot. Yeah.
Sea to Sinai Sea. Goes all the way to Monterey. You know, deposition rate in the Paris Basin.
Do you want to come take a look at this little bone? Sorry.
500 meters per million years.
Jeez.
From the Campanian to the Eocene. Steady state deposition rate.
Which is not being worked. So Mexico could be
There's like 2 paleontologists down there.
a new frontier for dinosaur
Baja
paleontology. Yeah.
California?
What's this?
Is it Baja, California?
Goes from Baja all the way across to Monterey, Mexico, all the way to Atlantic. All the way to Gulf of California.
Just a little tiny thing right
Oh,
here.
the Gulf Coast of California. Alright, so like, it looks coast of
Going
Sonora?
east-west, south of the U.S.-Mexico border.
Oh, okay.
You know, it clicks into Big Bend. You know, it connects to Big Bend. Goes across
Where's the
Korea.
rest of
The
it?
entire state of Korea.
I looked and there's just
is pretty much,
nothing. You can look at my
Yeah.
scoop.
You know, if you go to Monterey, southern Monterey.
Yeah, we
stuff,
find a
it's
lot of
pretty
these little black
Jurassic.
bone.
Then above it.
I hit it with
juvenile-
glue, so that's why it's extra
juvenile
dark. But
stuff, yeah.
Fine
Yeah.
phase of the ocean
So,
there.
yeah, I
above
doubt it went
Monterey.
much further.
Oh,
But
so you're
Yeah.
saying it's basically
can pop-
from here.
Going across.
some of that
should I just
stuff
pop that out?
Oh.
Yeah, I wanted to-
1,000
it
miles
firms
wide
up a
belt
little bit,
north
you can
south,
probably pop into
but it
that.
goes across
Cool.
the entire northern part of Mexico.
I
I've been
see
waiting
now.
for it to
And I
dry.
think the migration route
solidify.
is down along California. Look at their state
Cool.
dinosaur.
Is that worth getting up for?
It's under this guy.
I mean, it's just
I'm not sure that was something Ethan was working on.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's the
and
potential. I thought it
Ankylosaurs,
looked like
we
a rib
get down
head.
here,
Oh.
I think you thought it looked like a mini femur.
Ankylosaurus are
Oh,
way
yeah, yeah,
more
that's
closely
right.
related
Yeah.
to the ankylosaurs of Asia than they are to
Cool.
euplacephalines.
Probably.
You know, it's like the
Probably
why
would
does
make
is
sense
it
to take
continuous
this down
between us
instead
Right.
of
and
the-
the North Slope?
It's kind of tough doing those little tiny
know,
trenches.
I didn't want to get
Vegetation
too close to
changes,
this
I
without
think
Ethan here,
the
just
width of
because
the
I don't want to be
floodplain, the mountains to the
butting in on
sea.
his turf.
Yeah, but
You
he's
know,
not
it's
here.
like,
But yeah.
So you think they
So they're
came places?
Peking.
Down along California, and then
Yeah.
in
Hopefully they're
like
getting
Vegas, and
Making
down
some shape
through
for
Mexico,
themselves.
down south,
Yeah.
Maybe
and up
Texas.
along the western Jersey way,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we think some of that
and back and
little
forth.
darker
you
stuff
know.
is like juvenile.
And that opens
Nice,
up
okay.
constant to
That'd
the
be
whole
exciting.
A lot of them are just little.
You know, we have the
Little bones, you can't really
Panamanian
tell
basis
what they are.
Yeah.
That might
You
be
know,
something on the other end.
and that might be even could go across up there, but then we don't get another connection to part of San Antonio. You know, so there's
Here, I
two
can show you real
major
quick, chat.
Immigration, migration.
We've got a
periods.
little tiny bone I just
Not
uncovered over here.
Just one, you know, that is continuous back and
Just the
forth.
first part of it. I'm gonna dig around and expose more of it, but it's just this right here. Little dark
Right,
colored
you know,
thing.
the way when I start fighting people.
Um,
Then we got this. Then we got this. Just people pulling their hair out, like, you know. But it is. It's way
Chance it could be
more complicated.
juvenile dinosaur bone.
But it
We'll
makes
see.
sense when you
But
look
yeah.
at it. You gotta take into account geography, geology,
What do you think would be the best way to
oceanic
bolster?
currents. What?
What do you think would be the best way to bolster?
Let me show you again real quick, because I know that was really fast.
Paleontology in Mexico.
The scale bar
Is it
there.
through the government or?
Well, the government and part,
go. Just this. Right here. I put some glue on it so it's even darker colored, a little shiny.
Institute of Anthropology,
Yeah.
Paleontology. You know, so they also pick mine stuff.
So yeah.
They also have the paleo. You know, nothing's supposed to leave the country without their permission.
Right.
And the Germans have stolen all kinds of stuff, particularly from the Monterey area, without asking permission. You know. So there are people, you know, that definitely get arrested in Mexico if they show up there. You know, I mean, I worked there for years. I didn't steal anything from Mexico. It was a high point of my career.
Thank you, Charlie's Dragon, for answering all these questions in the
I
chat.
didn't have to
So I don't have to
steal their
repeat all
dinosaurs.
these. Really
You know,
appreciate
you Get
that.
a lot out of it. Come on.
So there's schools. What about their schools? Would
Yeah.
help to,
University of Mexico, in the Institute of Geology, and the director of the Institute of Geology used to dig with me at Fruta Paleo area. Yeah, George Callison was his master's thesis advisor. You know, so I had connections with Mexico, you know, in the 80s, you know, with those guys. Luis Espinosa.
By the way, it's good to see you, Kennedy.
Always thought he looked like
Thank you for
Zorro.
your ongoing
He's
support,
sad,
as always.
You know,
Yeah.
very,
Appreciate it very much.
You know, dashing looking
Yeah.
guy. You know, he's my
And,
age, so I bet he's retired.
Kanto Arcade.
But the
So, yeah.
Geology Museum, the Institute of Geology.
The glue that we have here is called acryloid
All like
B72.
glass cabinets,
So this is a polyvinyl acetate glue,
it's
like Vinac, but
classic
in our opinion,
100-year
better.
European museum style.
So it soaks down into the bone, and then the acetone solvent
Yeah, it'd be
evaporates
nice
away.
To be able to support Mexico. I talked to
Thoughts on
some of the.
Bootvar?
Thoughts on Bootvar?
Yeah, you know, Rob Gass.
I've never really liked Bootvar very much.
Yeah.
Rob
Um,
goes
Never heard
down there.
anyone say
They've got
anything
mounted
about it.
skeletons.
I haven't either,
in the
really.
Desert. That's their somewhat.
I thought that we used to use it at Berkeley, but apparently they just used it as like
When we were digging
a
down
slang
in
term.
the
It was actually
90s.
acryloid, and they just
He
called it
came out
Bootvar.
with us several times.
Um,
I never met.
Sort of like
the
people do
governor.
that with Vinac.
Yeah.
met
I still
his
call
wife
this stuff
several
Vinac by
times,
mistake.
And she was like totally like in the quarry digging.
But yeah.
Wow.
You know, so she helped.
But apparently
Twister
Bootvar
her
is the brand name,
farm.
just like Vinac is.
They
and
got
yeah.
from the finest natural
Anyway.
history museum in all of Mexico.
Um,
Right there, Saltillo, with dinosaur beds within. a
and
couple
cool, Kanto, nice. Good luck with that trip.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
holotype dinosaurs in there.
I want to find a way to support those
Yeah.
countries in Latin
You know, talk to
America.
Gaston some. Because
Yeah.
Gaston, you know, they got like 4 or 5 mounted dinosaurs that Gaston gave them. You know, the Coheloceratops skull, you know, Rob made for him, gave to him. The Bellerophon skull, skeleton, mounted skeleton, he made for him. He gave it to him. They didn't have to pay for any of that stuff. You know, they love Rob. You know, so you know, you don't have to go too far to talk to someone that's got actively, you know, I mean, he spends a few months a year in Mexico. You know, his wife's from from Guadalajara. She's a well-known artist. And she's been getting the paleo art. She's sculpted some really nice.
Oh, that
skulls
breeze is
and
nice.
things for Rob's exhibits.
Oh shoot.
You know,
Yeah, I might go to Guadalajara soon. I have some friends there.
Yeah, that's south of the Dino Belt, really.
And Alexander.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some
I
stuff.
think we
down
mentioned a
there
croc
that
tooth
you
at some
can
point, but we don't
rough
have any croc teeth
up.
yet,
And there's some
to my knowledge,
fascinating stuff in
from this season.
Oaxaca, but the Upper Cretaceous
Oh,
story
yeah, we'll all start.
is certainly northern Mexico.
It would be nice to see their other stuff too. Yeah, I wonder what their Jurassic stuff is like.
They don't have a lot of Jurassic food. They got track sites and things. They should, but a lot of it's like aluminum fans and stuff. They have terrestrial Jurassic. And it's not good. I mean, I'm sure you'd find stuff.
I think I was reading a paper.
As I said,
about a
our buddy
Jurassic.
Renee.
And
was like the only
Ellis,
dinosaur guy in
DTTV,
Mexico.
as an aspiring archaeologist, what can you do with no
That was,
degrees?
like, really hungry.
I have no idea. I'm not an archaeologist.
Paper about, I think, Jurassic.
We're doing paleontology here, so
In Mexico.
All right,
excavating
good.
fossils.
I haven't heard.
Archaeology deals with human artifacts, human civilizations, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It is. I mean,
What we're doing here is about 142 million years older than any of that.
reminds me. I
But
posted it on
in
one of the
paleontology,
photos. Remember you were talking
like,
about
you
that
don't necessarily
footprint
have to have a
by
degree to do
the ankylosaur footprint that they have, but they don't have
to do most things.
Oh, in the
Um,
visitor center.
Yeah, the visitor center.
Yeah, that's
Most of the folks
impressive.
here on this
Where
quarry are
was that
volunteers.
from?
Well, you know, I found a bunch of ankylosaur.
Sorry, it's kinda hard to talk over
from the
Jim.
Atarita, pretty close.
Jim is
by.
very good at projecting his
But,
voice.
I mean,
It's down toward Blanding, that area.
it's a little outside of Blanding. It's south of Junction. It's Whitewater.
Yeah.
It's the Grand
Well,
Junction.
Blanding is, southern Utah, down by the San Juan River.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty different area. This is from near Blanding. Long
Yeah.
ways. You got
I
a
was
basin. You have mountain ranges.
Yeah, I guess so. But I was just figuring it could be similar just because it was from.
Well, that's the thing.
Atarita
Is,
right on
is
top
it
of-
Barrow Canyon tracks? We have Barrow Canyon track site with ankylosaurs in it down there.
Oh,
Not
really?
as big as it. This is a big track.
Yeah.
Not as big as those. But they have a track site I was a co-author on that Chiapas guys dug up. Not for a highway, a road on a highway. And they closed up all these feet. They got theropods and hadrosaurus, and sauropod tracks. So we have all kinds of things. That's all in LA County.
Stringy Bark wants to know
But
what my favorite dinosaur is. Goodness, I get this question a lot. I've got a few different favorites. It's really hard to pick just one. But they tend to be dinosaurs that I've worked on, or worked with, or worked around.
Yeah.
Triceratops is one of my favorites. I've dug
Uh,
probably 20 or 30 of them over the course of my career so far in the Hell Creek Formation of Montana.
it's similar. You just have Atarita above Burrow Canyon.
Yeah.
I like Spinosaurids because I'm currently working on them and on like fish animals.
I have no way to tell you what guys have been pushing. And, I got a 2-year project for the environment down there. And our guys,
One of my favorites is a little alvarezsaur dinosaur called Trirarchuncus. It's one of the ones that I helped. Well, I'm one of the authors on the original descriptive paper from 2020.
Ed's worked down there a fair bit.
So,
And Ed's
yeah.
like,
My favorite dinosaurs tend to be some of the ones that I've been closest to over the years.
I'll offer to take yours, but you ain't done that.
Nah, I'll have a lot.
But
I
yeah.
was doing a good job though.
Yogi Shyam says, I've heard a conspiracy that dinosaurs aren't real. Why would they say that? I don't know. People say all kinds of goofy things in conspiracy theories.
Over at the
You know?
Ironstone site, which is not equivalent to this. But Ed will be there more for that.
Yeah. Oh, dinosaurs aren't real. The moon is really made of cheese.
Over there. You, Jeff, and Josh were down
Yeah.
there too. That
You
was
know,
awesome. You
birds aren't real. Greenland isn't
Yeah,
real.
and this,
The state of Wyoming isn't real.
Price for that stuff.
It's just like a short pitch. People who aren't very bright or interesting can say to make themselves sound interesting.
Yeah, he's busy.
Yeah, it's like kind of frustrating, but the U's not going to do it. So it's like,
Yeah.
well,
Space
not in
am
front of
fake.
the
Yeah,
U,
there you go,
Randy
Alexander.
won't
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah.
Just not in
But
his
yeah.
interest at all.
It's Middle Jurassic and tracks from Mexico.
What are your thoughts on dinosaurs being closer to birds than reptiles? That's the fun. Birds are a kind of dinosaur,
They're
Nice.
fast.
and dinosaurs are a kind of reptile. So birds are reptiles. But yeah. It's no longer at all evolved from dinosaurs. That's the consensus now.
Some of this is
Um,
in Spanish, but
that's-
I'm gonna
we've
send
got-
it to you
just
The title is inspired.
mountains of evidence that birds evolved from dinosaurs and thus are a kind of dinosaur. So it's no longer really in dispute nowadays. Just have too much evidence for it.
I was really trying to get
And don't just
back
ask
to
me,
when I
ask
was
any
like,
paleontologist,
some of these
any
guys
evolutionary
found out in the
biologist,
state
any
of
ornithologist,
Utah that
bird
kidnapped
scientist,
you.
they'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah, in the state of Utah would say, oh well, we'll hire another one.
Yeah.
We're self-insured.
Yeah.
Yeah, the state of Utah is going to pay $1 million.
BL Field,
ransom.
interesting, Magos.
This thing won't sound. Wait till I-
Email. I mean, yeah, I'd like to see it.
Let's see.
Yeah.
And there you go, Nova
Yeah,
Star.
we'll
Yeah,
read
I've heard the same
this.
thing before. Ugh. And very cool, Bogfard. Pyritized trilobites and ammonites in a shale bed in New Mexico. So those are invertebrates. Kind of outside my realm of expertise.
Nothing wrong with them.
But, yeah. Yeah. If somebody finds some pyritized ammonites and trilobites in New Mexico, should they report them to anybody? Like,
Yeah,
would anybody
yeah.
be interested?
The Mexico Museum of Natural History, they publish on ammonites and
Yeah.
things. It sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. Probably Thompson, the new guy, I can't remember his name. He's coming from Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania State Museum. He's a paleontologist, but
nice.
he's just moving to New Mexico.
Okay.
But Tom Williamson is there. So they Googled Tom Williamson, New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science. Long name.
Yeah.
You know, and under Tom Williamson, or even try Tom Williamson Paleontologist, New Mexico or something. They could probably get some contact info.
I'm typing that into the chat.
So
Yeah.
they did hire someone finally?
Yep, it's the guy worked with, what's his face?
Yeah.
Bob Sullivan. Yeah,
I met Bob, yeah.
Yeah, he's Bob Sullivan's right-hand man.
Cool.
Bob was there. You know, and they've given up paleo there at that museum. So no Cephalosaurus.
So if you think it's scientifically important, contact Tom Williamson in
good guy.
New Mexico. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that.
Good guy.
Yeah. And
The
Eddie
other guy, I'm
Indeed.
sure, is a good guy too. But
Eddie Indeed says the hollow bones were quite revealing that most dinosaurs were birds rather than reptiles. That's not right. Not quite. So here's the thing. Let me. I'll go get a visual aid. I'll be right back. Hang on a sec. So I can help explain this concept. In fact, I'll just pick this up and we'll go over there. Oh.
he's a mad dog.
And if anybody's just joining us, welcome back to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist out here in southeast Utah with the Utah Geological Survey. We're excavating dinosaurs and whatever else we can find, any other kinds of early Cretaceous critters. And these rocks in the Cedar Mountain Formation. And, oh boy, 112 in the shade. It is too hot today. Too hot. Binder here. There we go. Ugh. There we are. So, birds are a kind of dinosaur, as we've discovered, and dinosaurs are a kind of reptile, hence birds are a kind of reptile. I know a lot of folks find this surprising because you probably learned in school, maybe around maybe way back in elementary school, oh, well, there's, what is it? 4 classes of vertebrate animals with bones. You have fish, you have amphibians, you have reptiles, you have mammals, and you have birds. And they're all different, and that's not the case. Those are not different groups. Those are nested categories, as we've understood. So the classification system with birds, reptiles, amphibians, this was all discovered, or that was all devised kind of before scientists really understood evolution. So back in the days of Carl Linnaeus, the Swedish botanist and biologist who started classifying living things, he didn't really understand that living things change over time and that lineages will give rise to new species and these will split. And nowadays we have this understanding all life on Earth is related in this grand tree of life like this. And so things aren't necessarily set aside from one another. Oh, well, this is a bird, so it means it's not a reptile. No. Birds evolved from reptiles, and so they are actually a kind of reptile. I'll show you another diagram right here to help kind of explain this concept. What's that, Jim?
Like
No, not like bats. Jim's trolling me right now.
Oh, they're mammals, aren't they? Or bats separate.
Yeah, so this is just what we call amniotes. So this is the group of animals. It's essentially mammals and reptiles. So mammals and reptiles, you go back far enough, they come from the same ancestor. You go this way to get to mammals, and then reptiles are all the rest of these. Dinosaurs start right here. In order to be a dinosaur, you have to have evolved from that first dinosaur species, from that dinosaur. That's why you would be a dinosaur. It's like, by definition, you have to have evolved from that first dinosaur, thus you are a dinosaur. That's why birds up here, we can trace their ancestry back through feathered theropods, back to the Saurischian dinosaurs, and back to Dinosauria. So birds are a kind of dinosaur. They're one of the big branches on the dinosaur family tree. And dinosaurs are a bigger branch on the reptile family tree, which is in turn part of Amniota, the amniotes. That also includes mammals over here. So all life on Earth, as far as we know, is related. Every living thing, if you trace it back far enough, will go back to the dawn of life, the origin of life here. Octopus to Tyrannosaurus to grizzly bears to sunflowers. All of these different organisms, every living thing on Earth, we can trace back to the origin of life. Every living thing is related. So that means there was one ancestral species. It gave rise to two or more species, which split into more and more and more, and you get this grand and beautiful tree of life, like this. So yeah. So it's not like birds are separate from reptiles. Birds are a kind of reptile. Because birds are a kind of dinosaur, and dinosaurs are a kind of reptile. Does that make sense? I mean, looking at this phylogenetically, reptiles evolved from out of the water, essentially like fish with legs, what we call fishopods. Reptiles are a kind of fish. Mammals have that same ancestry too. They split off very early from the reptiles, but they also evolved from a fishy guy who came out of the water with limb-like appendages. I'm grievously oversimplifying here, but the point remains, both phylogenetically speaking, reptiles and mammals are lobe-finned fishes that came up onto the land. Does that make sense?
They have
Yeah.
double-layered sidewalls.
And don't just ask me.
So you have a
Talk
sidewalk
to any
ledge on the side of the road,
biologist, they'll tell you the same thing.
and then about 8 feet in, all around sideways and
So,
across streets,
here.
is another bench. She's hot.
Put this
It's
back
a
right
couple of
here.
stairs, but they're like 8-foot flat stretch in between. And it was high noon, so there was no shadow except this looking down. Things are more out of focus with me with bifocals anyway. And I have these students talking to me, about this big Jurassic Cretaceous talk. And presented a lot of stuff that wasn't common knowledge. And it was great talking to these students.
Like Casey says,
Marching
fishopods?
along, going to
Yeah.
go get some pizza. For
That's
dinner.
our informal term
I
for
picked that, second
a critter that's
leg,
kind of
going
transitional
full speed,
between
and I went, bam.
fully aquatic fishes and
I
tetrapods.
broke 4 ribs.
Fishapod.
Really
Yeah.
did my wrist in, and my wrist isn't even back yet. It probably never will be. It's just but I got my hands in front of my face, and if I hadn't, I would have jammed my nose into my brain pan because my face was like touching the pavement. My nose, it just stopped. Messed up this wrist. But I tore up this wrist really bad. and I tore
And,
this
yeah.
knee up.
Highly recommend that documentary series that Charlie's Dragon just pulled up. Your Inner Fish with Neil Shubin. Exquisite. Bookmark that for later
I couldn't believe how
if you want to learn more about this. How different parts of our own bodies as human beings can be traced back to our fishy ancestry.
under the lead line. Not a tear in my pants.
Like the reason why many people get
I didn't
hernias
realize, I knew it hurt.
is actually like
Not a tear in the pants. They were just stuck.
that's because of our fishy
That
ancestry.
was bad.
The way that our body walls are weakened by different organs that pass through them during embryonic development. That's a result of our having evolved from fishes. All kinds of weird, cool stuff like that. Like stuff that doesn't make sense about the human body until you look at it through the lens of evolution. And suddenly, it makes sense, you know?
That's what they said.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then a while later, 6 months later, I get a CT scan. Full chest CT because of my respiratory things and stuff.
Yeah.
And the nurse is going, man, you had 4 broken ribs.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, an interesting Pogo Bogo. Yeah, that must be the theme song. I met the People Are Fish guy at SVP this past year.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And they just
They
said,
told me I didn't. I
Anyhow.
was being a baby.
so you had, see now they're
And here,
all
let me
naturally
walk
healed.
around a little bit more and we'll talk
they're
about this.
not great kids, I guess. But
Let me get some water first.
they show up in a lot of scar tissue. No, I didn't heal up for at least 6 months. I mean, it's like, I used to throw myself into bed. I could not get in bed. Because my position was on the far side. So for me to get in bed, to get across to my side of the bed, it was like, I get up on the edge of the bed, I get myself a right angle, and then I kind of jump and kind of turn my body so I'd land on my back, over where I wanted to
There
be.
we go.
But I couldn't twist myself to do it.
Let's see. Oh boy, how am I going to do this without ripping the cables out? Hang on a sec.
Stuff happens.
There we are. Bear with me for a second, chat. Rearranging here.
I was out of condition for almost a year from that. I got my foot, I got a motorcycle
There we go.
foot up.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about phylogeny.
Dragging me around.
Well, first, somebody in the chat said, yeah, I heard this idea that every living thing wants to evolve into a crab, and oh boy, I'm a little annoyed with that idea at this point, because it's true up until a point, but that point is different from what people think. Lots of different kinds of crustacean have independently evolved into what people might call like a crab body plan. So, different kinds of lobsters and crayfish and other crustaceans, things that aren't considered like true crabs, have independently evolved into that same kind of body form that looks like what you would call a crab. It's just a body plan that works really well if you're a crustacean. It does not apply to animals with bones or to animals that don't have exoskeletons. So like, it's way overblown, It's like saying, oh goodness, let's see here. This is not going to be a good analogy, but it's like, well, every form of things that people watch wants to be reality television. Well, sure, reality television was a really popular medium for a while. It still is. But like, a lot of TV shows, were greenlit that are reality television, but it doesn't mean that like a book is reality television. That's something that somebody looks at. This is a terrible analogy. I don't know. The point is, even though that kind of body plan is common among crustaceans, it doesn't mean that every living thing wants to evolve to become to have that crab-like body form. That's just not a thing, So yeah, sorry if I seem a little annoyed by this, but it's one of these things where you get this sometimes, where there's some sort of like, oh, fun fact about evolution story, and then people run with it and they share it with each other. It has really good press for some reason, and then everybody thinks that it's true, and it's not. It's actually really misleading. Kind of like this idea that, this one is not nearly as annoying. This idea that, oh, sharks are older than trees. It's like, well, there's a lot wrong with that statement. Modern sharks, as we know them, go back to the Mesozoic at the very earliest. So, like, the first true sharks are not even as old as the first dinosaurs. And then trees is almost kind of a meaningless term in science, because different kinds of trees are not necessarily closely related to each other. Tree is not a group in botany. Lots of different kinds of plants get called trees even though they're not related. So like a palm tree and a redwood tree, they are nowhere close on the, the plant phylogeny, on the plant tree of life. Yeah. Yeah, so like a pine tree would be more closely related, like a redwood would be more closely related to a fern than it would be to a palm tree. They're both non-angiosperms. They're both quote-unquote gymnosperms, non-flowering plants. But yeah. And Freelancer says, are frogs amniotes? No. Lys amphibia is not part of amniota. Amniotes are critters that lay mostly hard-shelled. They can still be leathery, but like shelled eggs on land. Frogs don't do that. They're part of Lys amphibia. They've got jelly-like eggs in the water, or they give birth to live young sometimes, I think. But yeah, frogs are outside of that. Yeah. And sorry it took me so long to get to your message, Dr. Busby, but thank you for repeating it, Claire. Fossils are all safely back at NHMU. What happens in terms of having them identified as an existing dinosaur? So that's being worked on right now. We have... She was in the chat yesterday. Dr. She's kind of our ringer, our iguanodont expert. And so she is working on them and developing a manuscript that we will be publishing. Some of us will be authors on that paper too. Different or similar to other iguanodont dinosaurs. And we've got a lot of differences lined up so far. And this will be a new species or new genus. We're pretty certain of that. One species, or is it two, or is it more? G thinks that we've got multiple new species of iguanodont from Quarry and from that one from last year, just over there. Karen's not so sure yet. So we're trying to figure that out. How many new species do we actually have? Do all these bones belong to the same kind of animal? Or do we have multiple kinds of new iguanodont mixed up here? Given that all the bones are disarticulated and jumbled up together, we don't necessarily know which bones belong to which individual animals. So it makes things a little bit trickier. If we had an articulated skeleton where all the bones are in place, then our lives would be a lot easier in this regard. But we don't have that. So we got to do the best with what we've got. Yeah. Emerome. Again, I'm trying to catch up to the chat, so apologies for taking so long to get to your message. I used to always want to be a paleontologist growing up. Now I'm a Twitch streamer and a YouTuber, lol. Is there a strong need for paleontologists, or is it not worth it to get into the field? I'll put it this way. What we really need in paleontology is money. If we had more money in this field, if we had more support, if there were more funding for science in the United States and in other countries, then we would have more jobs for paleontologists. As it stands now, there are way more paleontologists than there are jobs for paleontologists, which is part of the reason why I do these live streams. I do outreach full time. This is how I make my living, is streaming here on Twitch. And I'm doing my best to try and raise the profile of this kind of work. To the public, people excited about this, try and bring in money and inspire future generations of people involved with this kind of thing. We don't have enough jobs in paleontology because there's just too few resources to go around. our dig that we're running here, this is for 3 weeks, I think 23 days, 24 days total. Our budget is like a few $1,000s. And we've had a few donations from kindly benefactors which have allowed us to get food and stuff, but like we don't typically have like a food budget. This sort of thing is run on kind of a shoestring. So, and everybody on this crew right now, except for Jim and Don, are volunteering. I'm volunteering here. I'm not getting paid to dig up these dinosaurs. That being said, I don't want to discourage anybody from getting involved with paleontology. It's really difficult to make a living as a paleontologist. Like, if that's going to be your job title, there's so few jobs to go. But there are so many different ways that regular folks can get involved with paleontology. Duped or well, like, you can call yourself a paleontologist. It doesn't have to be on your business card. But like, if you're publishing in the scientific literature, if you're actively helping out with fieldwork and lab work and stuff like that, like, you're doing paleontology, you are a paleontologist. So I'd encourage lots of folks who maybe they already have a career, you know, or if like you have another way of making a living, still see if you can get involved or volunteers here. There's programs like this across the state of Utah, around the United States, around the world. Paleontology is run largely on volunteer labor, especially field work, lab work, stuff like that. So if you're really interested in this kind of thing, see if you can get involved. A number of our crew members here, this is their first time ever doing this kind of thing. They just reached out to Jim and Don and kind of got vetted and then became the crew. See if there's a field crew near where you live or in your part of the world. You never know what could happen, you know? So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. But really appreciate the question. Thank you for your patience, because I know it took me a while to get there. And Dinosaur Dave, oh boy, more AI nonsense. Ugh. I think I saw something about that briefly on Blue Sky, but I don't know enough about this yet, so I'm not gonna do a tirade about this. MJ Builds, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Really appreciate that. Man, it's taken me a while to get to the bottom of the chat. And Stimulator Davebot says, how often does a full dinosaur skeleton get found? Seems like every day in certain parts of the world. The smaller a dinosaur skeleton is, maybe the more likely it will be to be found complete. Or actually, no. Turn that around. Most of the complete skeletons of dinosaurs that we have are from small individuals. So, like, in order to... Here, think about it this way. Let me go get a visual aid, and we'll talk about that. Here. We're going to dive into taphonomy for a second. There we go. Down right here. So taphonomy is kind of a subfield of paleontology that deals with what happens to critters between when they die and then when they eventually get discovered as fossils. So, bingo, here we go. A nifty little diagram here. Here's a dinosaur back in the Cretaceous period. Looks like baryonyx maybe. And I would say, oh, he's sleeping, but his face is under the water, so unfortunately, RIP, he dead. So, your dinosaur dies right there, and luckily dies near a body of water. We've got a river running through right here. And so, say that you get a lot of rain, that river overflows its banks, and as the flesh and everything rots away from that carcass, you're left with the bones here, and then at just the right time, flowing over and deposits a bunch of sediment over it. So it gets buried at the bottom of a river. And then over time you get more and more and more sediment that builds up over it like this. And then you get permineralization. So what happens is that, like, the, kind of the raw bones there, are supplemented by minerals in the groundwater. It becomes permineralized, fossilized. So, rather than just rotting away over a few hundred or thousand years like bone normally would, instead, it gets partially turned to stone and is preserved under all these layers of rock like there. And then something happens in the environment. We go from a depositional environment to an erosional environment. So rather than new rock being laid down, instead it's being eroded away. And eventually, a keen-eyed paleontologist or member of the public spots some of it poking out of the ground, and then an excavation is held, and this critter is dug up. So that's kind of the process of burial and fossilization. Taphonomy, all the different things that happen to a critter after it dies before it's discovered. Here, you don't see like a complete skeleton, because this is a really big animal. It takes a ton of sediment to cover a big carcass like this, and then the chance that all of the bones will be there preserved in place, it's really, really low. So, the bigger you are as a dinosaur, the more difficult it is to get your whole skeleton buried in the first place. And, there's just a lot counting against that. Good chance that some of you might be fossilized. Big bones tend to be fairly resilient, but if you're going to find a complete skeleton, chances are it's going to be from a small dinosaur, something that doesn't take like an absolute mountain of sediment to bury. Does that make sense? So we've got tons of complete skeletons of dinosaurs from certain places in the world, like the Gobi Desert of Mongolia is famous for this. We get places up in Canada and especially Liaoning province, many of these feathered dinosaurs are coming out of. You have just perfect conditions there during the Cretaceous that would bury these animals with very, very fine grained sediment. Some of it is like volcanic, so you've got bits of volcanic ash that mix in with the rest of the sediment, and just super, super fine grained, beautiful preservation. But that being said, for the most part, the majority of the remains that we find are not parts of complete skeletons. Like what we have here at this site, this is, we think, like an ancient swamp, essentially. Like a low-lying, swampy floodplain. And so there'd be... We'll ask Jim about this. Have him give us the skinny on what this ancient environment would have been like. What's our depositional environment here, Jim? Of like what this particular spot would have looked like 100
area, and the whole country, you wouldn't see any mountains from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a flat plain. This is a huge area. In this area, marsh fen, wet marsh, wet spots, dry area, decent length of time through several meters.
Yeah.
This stuff was a marsh fen. But a wet, not a like pseudo grassland marsh fen.
Sure.
And and swimming in among the cattails. There were probably wallas. They were made by crocodilians, so deeper pools. 'Cause we do see some croc stuff that's bigger that wouldn't fit in just flat marsh. You know? So like a little bit, think of kind of like the Everglades.
Okay.
But made white so wet, but not grass, ferns.
Ferns instead of grass, because grasses had not evolved yet at this point in Earth history.
Yeah. We just fern debris everywhere. Ferns were the main thing covering everything here. Right. And at times, there'd be big flood events, and somewhere which we don't have a outcrop of, there had to be some rivers winding through this thing. Some major transportation corridors for water and things. The blood vessels in the marsh system. Right. You ever seen salt marsh pictures? You got channels and things going through them. These probably weren't deeply cutting like intertidal salt marsh, but you've got streams and stuff going through. And in big floods, they come through, rip up parts, and actually take sediment from these things, and debris, rotted roots, bones, whatever, pebbles that were at the bottom of these things. and spew them out over the adjoining marsh. And if there were skeletons or bones on that surface, they would get buried. You know, bones and stuff, and pebbles of bone. You know,
Right.
we have Jurassic dinosaur pebbles reworked into this thing from the Morrison.
Right.
You know, that stuff get worked in.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes, you know, you might get whole skeletons, like we did with the sauropod. You know, or you know, really beautiful stuff. Sometimes it's not so rich.
Right.
But these are big lenticular things, and you know, so in any of these things, we realize there's more than one horizon.
Uh-huh.
But it's not like, oh, here's a level we're getting bone.
Right.
You can't follow it across the whole outcrop. It vanishes.
Right.
Another, so these
It's all
are probably
highly
big
localized.
lenses and
Yeah.
complex, dominated by ferns and turtles, crocodilians, little minnows anyway,
Yeah.
and dinosaurs drinking, feeding. Taking each other out on occasion. Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
you know, think of the Everglades, but definitely fresh.
Gotcha.
You know,
Okay.
no marine influence.
That's a good
It's
analogy. Thanks,
probably
Jim.
as close as you're gonna get.
Yeah. Nice. So I hope that paints a nice portrait for you, everybody. Yeah. So mostly pretty still environment. A little bit of flowing water every once in a while, but yeah. Yeah.
Fern fen is more like supposedly more like a grassland. Yeah.
Fen, F-E-N. I don't know if that's a term in wide use among many people nowadays. Fen. It feels antiquated. You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Almost
yeah.
medieval. I don't know. Yeah.
You know, everyone, you know, at the time of Morrison, you know, floodplain environments. They go,
Yeah.
Fern fen.
Fern fen.
Yeah.
Sounds like a verbal typo.
Dense forest,
Yeah.
you know, with carbonates and evaporites in the soils.
Yeah.
Little tiny rootlets. You know, you don't see big tree roots in the soils.
Marco Tour says say hi to Jim for you. Well, hi Jim. Yeah. Anywho. And Emerome says, can I fundraise in my videos or streams for work like this?
Annie knows it best.
Yeah. Here, let's go talk about that for a minute. Walk over here. Yeah. So, I really appreciate you asking that. Thank you, Emerome, for your enthusiasm. We could always use funding, and I will bounce around to different field sites with different crews and try and show off different kinds of field work every summer. And we do some fundraising here on this channel for our program in Wyoming, where we're kind of filling in a blank spot on the dinosaur map, so to speak. We've been pretty successful with that. If you'd be interested in helping me out with that kind of thing in the future, we should talk, because that would be really cool. The cool thing about paleontology, maybe dinosaur paleontology in particular, is that it's really cheap. It's funny, I talk with some of my colleagues in genetics or in, like molecular biology, stuff like that. Or in like medicine adjacent fields. And that sort of work can be extremely expensive, you know? Like if you're doing experiments with lab mice, you know. I think the figure that I was given for that was like, and then it's like $18 of food and care per mouse every day for like as long as you run one of these experiments. $18 per mouse. And you might have potentially hundreds of mice in a single experiment if you're doing that kind of science. I was asking Don here about like how much money does he spend on food for us, all of the volunteers? And he says for food and ice and I think fuel and other stuff, I think it's $7 per day for a human being working out here. So field work and lab work in paleontology, all of this stuff is so much more affordable than other kinds of science are. I've been on field crews where our over a month of field work, it's like $900. And Liz Friedman Fowler, who work over in Montana, I was with them just a few weeks ago. They run with like dozens of volunteers for, I think it's like $20,000 per summer. And they're taking out multiple really impressive dinosaur specimens, pterosaurs, and all kinds of other critters. We had a really neat egg site this year. So that's food and fuel and digging supplies, equipment, like burlap and plaster and lumber and everything else that you need to dig up a summer's worth of dinosaurs for $20K. And that's a big operation that they have there. They're feeding everybody for that amount too. And everybody camps on site so that it's, you know, it's really affordable. You couldn't put 40 people up in a hotel for that long. That'd be way more than $20,000 just for that, just for lodging. So I don't know. My point is that this sort of work, we have to pinch every penny. We really stretch things out. We're as resourceful and I'm not going to say cheap, but I'll say frugal as we can be in order to be able to get this kind of work done. So if anybody is watching right now and you're like, wow, that's nothing, just know that, like, for bang for your buck, dollar for dollar, paleontology is one of the most economical sciences there is. We do a lot with very little. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Scrolling through the chat. Maybe they should replace mice with humans in genetics experiments. That's funny because I've been part of scientific experiments before, like testing new chemical products. So like, yeah, we don't test on animals. They test on undergrads. I've done that before and gotten paid for it. I wouldn't volunteer for that. But that's part of how I used to pay the bills when I lived in Montana, as I'd be part of testing new medical implements, usually things like pre-operation sanitizing scrubs and different kinds of, a lot of antibacterial stuff. So I've done that. I've been a guinea pig. And Emerome says it's good to hear that so much can be done with so little, and is really dedicated to this work. Definitely excited to chat with you more. I'll shoot you an email. Yeah, paleontologizing@gmail.com. Hit me up, Emerome. Thank you for your interest and your enthusiasm. I really appreciate that. We need good folks like you who see the value in this kind of work and want to help support it. Yeah. It's funny because, like, in the sense that there's lots of toys and video games and movies and stuff like that. When Jurassic Park came out in 1993, that was the biggest movie ever. The highest grossing film of all time. As of, 1993 was Jurassic Park. We as paleontologists, well, Jurassic Park is an exception. We did actually see like an increase in funding after that, which was cool. But for the most part, the people who are profiting off of how cool dinosaurs are not paleontologists. Not the people who are actually discovering these animals, digging them up, studying them, discovering how cool they are. We don't see any of that money. Especially not these stupid dinosaur auctions like you've been seeing lately. There was one in the news just the other week. Like a single, probably pretty crummy Tyrannosaurus skeleton sold for $50 million. Like, you could build 5 entire museums with that much money and endow them into the future so that they just run in perpetuity. Think of the number of paleontologists that you could employ with that. But instead, some wealthy person wanted to have, a mostly reconstructed T-Rex skeleton in their private collection. Just ridiculous, $50 million, I could find you 100 Tyrannosaurus skeletons. Better than that one, but I don't know. Wealth is wasted on the wealthy, as they say. Yeah. MJ Build says, why is Danny making me sad? I'm sorry, MJ Builds. It's just, that's the world today. But I'm glad you're here, and yeah. Yeah. Anywho, again, the fossils that we're excavating here are not going to go to some wealthy real estate tycoon or cryptocurrency scammer, or however people make obscene amounts of money nowadays. These fossils belong to you and me. We are excavating on federal public land, Bureau of Land Management land. These fossils belong to the people of the United States and the world at large, really. That's why we are excavating these, and we're going to be repositing them in the permanent collections of the Natural History Museum of Utah. So, paleontologists, long after I'm dead, will be able to go there and study these things. And, and the public will be able to enjoy them, too. So, this is for the public good, you know? Not for personal profit, not for some sort of like business enterprise. We're trying to drive scientific knowledge further. We're trying to discover new things. We're trying to, do good things in the world. And I really do believe strongly that excavating fossils like this does make the world a better place, When we can learn more about the history of life on Earth, we can learn about things like mass extinctions that happened in the past, or how different ecosystems change as climates change over Earth history. That's extremely important information that can help us make better decisions about how to preserve our natural environment today. Because if we don't do that, we're toast, For all this talk of like, if we completely wreck Earth, then we could just move on to Mars. It's like, no, we are biological organisms that evolved here on Earth. We are very much Earthlings. We are perfectly adapted to living on this planet. You try going to Mars and you would have to change everything about that place in order to make it even the least bit habitable. Like it's a pipe dream. It's nonsense. It's not going to happen. Think about it this way. Would it be easier to completely transform the entire planet of Mars? Or maybe just stop wrecking things here at home where we evolved? We're from here, Let's clean up our own house before we decide to build a new house and then completely remodel it or whatever. Like, clean your room. Let's fix things here. So much easier. Anyhow. Yeah. Sir Ronlin says Mars cannot keep an atmosphere. There's a reason it doesn't have one. There you go. I'm not an expert in this kind of thing, and I also want to make it very clear that I'm not slagging off space exploration. These are really important endeavors. And I think people and get them interested in with paleontology. And man, do we not have NASA budgets here. No, we're close. You should see our camp. Some of the tools that we have here in the quarry, the brushes and the scoops and things like that, they're older than I am. It's pretty funny. Like we do whatever we can to keep this work going with basically a zero budget. But yeah. NASA doesn't have a NASA budget. It's a good point, Casey. Yeah. Smaller every year. Yeah, that's the thing, is that the more money that when I say you, I'm talking about like governments. The more money that a government pours into science in their country, the more economic benefit they'll see from that. Like, science is a huge multiplier there. For every dollar that you spend, what is it, like $5-6 back into the economy? It's a no-brainer. But unfortunately, a lot of the people who make these decisions really don't like the idea of science. This idea that there is some sort of objective reality out there, and that there are people who can study that and become experts in it, and then call out the nonsense of other people. I don't know, when you've got nonsense to sell, which so many people do, you really don't like the idea of experts. So you'll kind of do whatever you can to stop them. And I think that's a big part of what's going on in the world right now with science funding being cut. Yeah. But anyway, let's get back to the fun. Get some more water. If you've got any other questions, I know there had to have been some that I missed. So if I was way behind in chat earlier and I missed your question, I apologize. But feel free to just type it right back in there, and we'll go over it with you. It's the beauty of these streams. They're live, they're interactive. Never know what's going to happen. And it allows us to have like a give and take, you know? This is not a lecture, it's a conversation. So, don't be shy. Yeah. Hey, Cacklinsworth, welcome. Good to see you as always. Yeah. Interesting, Alexander. I don't know what's up with that. I've been so busy this summer. So often it seems like these things happen right in the middle of the field season, so I'm not really able to be as up to date as I'd like to. But if any of you are interested in getting kind of a more inside peek into the commercial T-Rex market, I have a link with you that I can share. There was that Bloomberg piece that came out recently, and I think, let me know if this works, I think this gift link hopefully this works. Copy. It is paywalled, but let's see if that works for you. Yeah, I would not recommend getting involved with the commercial Tyrannosaurus market, the T-Rex market. There's been so much misrepresentation, less than forthrightness, less than honesty within that, and the article kind of goes into it from Bloomberg. Well written, comprehensive, it's long, but it's worth reading. But yeah. That's the thing, is that these are not art objects. Dinosaur skeletons are not art objects. They're not commodities. These are rocks that we pull out of the ground, essentially. Their importance is scientific, not... They're not collector's items. They're not something to invest in. Like, the very idea is completely absurd. It only takes maybe a few $1,000s to dig one of these things up, and then they turn around and sell them for $50 million? What a scam. That's my opinion. I'm not speaking for any other organization or institution or anything like that. This is Danny Anduza saying this. But believe me, I've been doing this for a long time. Longer than you would expect, based on how not old I look. But yeah, these things are not worth money like that. It's ridiculous. But yeah. And Neo Smoke says, doesn't it kind of become art when you put it in a museum? No. If we're talking about like modern art, we're like, who is the modern artist who like duct taped a banana to the wall of an art gallery, and that's modern art? Great, okay, that's art, sure. Not gonna argue there. I'm not, an art historian or philosopher of art or anything like that. But scientific specimens their value lies in what they can teach us about the natural world. And to a certain extent about... Sure, these things can be beautiful, but they're not art. Art is a human construct, Art is something that people do. Dinosaur fossils are not that. They are they're animal carcasses, in the case of, say, a Tyrannosaurus skeleton, that's the preserved remains of a living thing that existed here on our planet 66 million years ago. It's not an art object. You know what I mean? Art is a way for people to express themselves, to get ideas across, to engage in like a cultural pursuit. A dinosaur fossil isn't that, you know? Yeah. And exactly, Charlie's Dragon, yeah. We can appreciate the looks of something without it being art. Flowers are beautiful, but they're part of nature, not human-made art. And I think that's an important distinction to make. I bet you a lot of artists would agree. Yeah. And Larfleeze says pressed flowers are kind of art, though. I mean, not really. If you were to arrange them in such a way in order to convey a feeling or some sort of artistic impulse, then yeah, then that would be art. But just, you know, a pressed flower itself, I don't think I would call that. To be some kind of expression within there in order for it to be considered art. Oh, interesting. Yeah, Hanaconda, you bring up Body Worlds. That guy just passed away, I think, in his 80s. I forgot his name, but I just saw that on Blue Sky this morning. There's art in the posing and preparation. Yeah, and I think I don't want to get into like a really long, drawn-out conversation about, oh, what is art? Because that's the realm of philosophers and artists. That's not for a paleontologist to decide. But my point in saying that these are not art objects is that a scientific specimen, if you gussy it up a bunch, then it loses its value as a scientific specimen, you know? Think of it like, maybe this is a dumb example. Think of it like a police sketch. Where it's like, here's what the suspect might look like. It's like you're trying to get as close to the real thing as you can there, so it's actually useful. If you have a lot of artistic license, if you're really trying to get some kind of idea or like make a statement with it, then it's not going to be very useful. It's the difference between, you know, an image meant to reflect reality, which is what a scientific specimen is more analogous to, and, you know, something that's human artistic expression. Like, you know, are you picking up what I'm putting down? I'm going to change the subject here before we get too into this, but yeah. Yeah. Ice Allen says, now I want to paint. Excellent. You should. You know what? Speaking of art, and someone I think can probably speak on this with greater authority than me, greater authority than I. You should go give her a follow. Twitch.tv/Casey Snowart. Friend of the channel, friend of mine. She does a lot of kind of natural history illustrations, but also just the point of her channel is she wants to get people involved and interested in doing art, especially illustration. A lot of focus on animals and other organisms, but that's just because Casey really likes animals and they're really fun to draw. But she does this thing called the Art Gym, where people in her community will follow along and do their own illustrations alongside her, and they're just like, you know, building those artistic muscles in the Art Gym. Gym short for gymnasium. Developing those skills, because they will atrophy over time, but if you practice them, if you build those muscles, not only does this sort of thing become easier for you, not only do you become more skillful, but it becomes more enjoyable too. So if you already enjoy drawing, or maybe go check out Casey's channel and see if she can help you further that even more. She's an excellent teacher, and that really comes through in her streams, so go check out Casey Snowart. And is blending in with the background here. Pono7 wants to know, 2 hours from the coast, do you know of any operations taking place around the East Coast? I do, yeah. Charleston, that's in South Carolina, right? Yeah, Raleigh's North Carolina, Charleston is South Carolina. You have a brilliant museum there. At the College of Charleston. I forget what the museum's official name is, but it's like a fossil museum at the College of Charleston. And they run field programs. They do like public days and stuff like that where you can meet the paleontologists, I think. There's a lot of stuff going on around there. There's a place called Calvert Cliffs, which is it in Maryland? Which I think is not too far from there. That's a famous fossil site. You've got a number of well-known fossil sites there on the East Coast. They're not dinosaur sites. Dinosaurs are very, very rare on the East Coast of the United States and Canada. But you've got plenty of other fossils. Yeah. But if you're dead set on finding dinosaurs on the East Coast, your best bet would be in Maryland at a place called Dinosaur Park. It's really cool. Just in the last few years, they've been opening this up and letting members of the public come in to look for dinosaur fossils. It's a cool place. I've never been there, but that's often what I recommend for folks who are on the Eastern Seaboard. Check that place out. And you've got a number of brilliant paleontological museums on the East Coast too, but not too many places to find dinosaurs in the field. So Dinosaur Park in Maryland would be a good place to check out. Yeah. Yeah. And there you go, Colgan, I agree. Yeah. And Murph, thank you for reposting that message from Akira Eclipse. How you doing, Murph, by the way? It's good to see you, as always. What determines if a fossil is called a transitional fossil or classified as a new species? So, there's not really a difference. In the grand scheme of things, in evolution, like, every species is transitional. Unless it's going extinct. If it has descendants, if it's a member of a lineage that continues, then it is transitional. Yeah, so that's not really a dichotomy that makes a lot of sense. If you're asking how we determine that something is a new species, well, we carefully examine it, we compare it to every other example that we have that might be a close relative. We look for similarities and differences, and there's no hard and fast way to tell that something is a new species 100%. It's always a hypothesis where you say, I think this looks different enough that it's probably a new species. And there's different ways of testing that activity there, you know? So with our iguanodonts here, our team is going to be looking at those and trying to figure out are these different enough to call a different species, or are they not? And so far they really look like they are. But here we go. Here's a diagram that Jim put together with 2 different species of Gastonia. 2 dinosaurs that are very closely related. This one older than this one. Gastonia burgii, about 135 million years old. Gastonia lori-mcwinneyei, which I was excavating last September with Josh Lively. Yeah, it's at least 5 million years, maybe 10 million years younger. So there's a bunch of differences between these. You can see that these, what Jim calls splates, they're like spike plates. They get pointier when you get to Gastonia lori-mcwinneyei. These kind of spike splates along the tail get broader and longer, or at least they get skinnier and longer than they do in Gastonia burgii. It's differences like these that can help you determine that you've got something new. In this case, it was really easy because these 2 critters didn't live at the same time, and we've got pretty good reason to believe that Gastonia lori-mcwinneyei evolved directly from Gastonia burgii. That these guys are the descendants of these guys. They're just kind of getting spinier over time. But again, that's a hypothesis. We're still trying to figure this stuff out, and there's always going to be some degree of subjectivity there, because nature is not cut and dry. Nature is messy. Nature is full of in-betweens and gray areas and spectra. Nature kind of abhors a binary. There's very few things in nature where it's like, oh, it's either this or it's that, and there's no in between. That's not typically how things go. And so if Gastonia lorimiquiniae evolved from Gastonia burgii, if you were to find a specimen that's intermediate in time, it might look like a perfect cross between the two. It might have features of both of them. Kind of, a mashup. Again, nature just being full of spectrums, spectra. Just beautiful gradients from one thing to the next, instead of like a hard line between them, Yeah. And let's see. Oh, did we get a raid here? Holy cow. Thank you. Daria Ladiosa. Muchas gracias por el raid y bienvenidos a Paleontologizing. Me llamo Dani, entonces soy un paleontólogo de los dinosaurios y estoy en Utah, USA. I'm digging here with the Utah Geological Survey, which is part of the Department of Natural Resources. And we've got a dinosaur dig going on.
That so-called snake that turned out not
Fisher's
to be a
working
snake.
on something. Let's go check
You
that
can
out.
go out there on
Let's
that
go
one.
bug Fisher.
Buddy, Dino Prey. They're in bed together. And Martel's a smart guy.
Nice.
But
Is this the thing from earlier fish?
This is just a piece of crap, basically.
The thing that we thought could be maxilla?
No, that's this guy.
Oh, that's that. Oh, okay.
Don seems to think that this is vert.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is plausible.
Uh-huh.
This is just some random thing.
Yeah.
It's not particularly notable in any way, but it's a bone, and it's kind of in the way. And
Yeah.
So
Gotta get it capped and get it out of the
gotta
way.
collect it. Better to be collected than thrown in the talus pile.
Yeah.
Debatably, but.
Fisher being snarky today.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it is true that if you collect everything, you don't have room for...
You'll just.
And this
Yeah.
is something I've had to come to terms with as I've been more invested in field work, is that
Yeah.
you can't collect everything, but
True.
you should collect most things.
Yeah. Maybe someday.
recollect it out of the spoil pile and change your mind.
Right. Yeah.
You can throw it away later.
Yep. That's a good point. I don't know, and at some point it does become like a budget issue, like.
Oh, I learned something. Oh, that was probably important.
Yeah.
Whoops. Yeah. You really
I
have
do
to-
that all the time. I go, oh, that's somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Now I know something more.
Right.
That probably is cool,
We'd love to be able
But
to
I
collect.
collect everything. I mean, I've collected a lot of garbage in my time.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
I probably have
new
too,
site,
yeah.
You don't know what's good and what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly am biased, given that I run a site that produces thousands of fossils every
Right.
year.
Yeah. Shout out Turtle Hill.
So, and that's not like a flex or anything. It's just like it's kind of a problem. It's like I don't know what to keep and what to get rid of,
Mhm.
and so I have to be kind of, conservative when it comes to like what do I actually want to collect and label, and
Right.
what do I want to put in a sediment bag for someone else to find later.
Yep. And part of it does come down to like budget and space. Like
Yeah.
if we had an infinite budget, then we could have a huge storage facility and just put all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff in there and have teams of interns looking over these things, getting paid to do it.
Yep.
But we don't have that, so we've got to be a little bit careful about not collecting garbage everywhere.
But I did find what looks to be like maybe a skull thing.
Flex yourself in
Nice.
positions.
Oh.
That caught my eye.
Ooh.
And Don also agrees
That would be
that
exciting.
it looks scully. So.
Yeah, it does. It's thin and it's got weird prongs on it.
Cranial. I mean, Don was saying like post-orbital maybe.
Yeah, I can see that.
Which is generally laying on one
Maybe
side, using my right hand.
Lacrable? I don't know.
I don't know enough about dinosaurian anatomy to
Yeah.
make a very informed judgment on that, but it looks cranial to me, so
Nice.
and it's better than anything else I've found so far. So happy about that.
And Snow Denshi, oh man,
My face.
amen to
I mean,
that. Snow
anymore,
Denshi
I
says
get my face
maybe
pretty
one day
close
we can
to
buy
the
the empty
sun.
data centers and use them as
That's
warehouses.
the way it is.
You know,
that
that day
was wicked close.
might be coming sooner than we realize
There's more of
when
those
the AI
there,
bubble
but it's
bursts.
just sheer luck.
Yeah.
That assumes that we'll ever have money.
And there are, and you got all those
Selling these things for pennies on the dollar when the U.S. economy crashes.
through the paleo area. You know, you got these tiny black
Yeah, I don't know.
crossing tiny little animals. Jet black bone.
Sorry
Fucking dream.
if this seems a little dark, but
There's also
yeah.
little tiny black bone.
Anyway. Or maybe, you know, nature will just reclaim the
George
Yeah.
Allison runs
the
that
half-constructed,
He just sits there.
you know, buildings that were going to become data centers, but yeah. It'd be a nice home for coyotes and badgers. You know? It's the whole thing taken over by vines and yeah. One can dream. That's a beautiful hope.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I guarantee. I know that. I've dug this.
And there you go, Snow Denshi. Yeah, 300 plus acres.
Yeah, there's
I'm not convinced most of these things are ever going to get built, though. Like, it's just, they're not profitable.
You can mass wash this stuff, like it washed really good. You know,
Ultimately,
but it doesn't.
you know, we can talk about whether or not
It's just like
generative AI is actually useful or beneficial to society. I don't think it is. Not convinced that there's any real utility or benefit to these things. It's essentially just like a glorified autocomplete. But what you can't really argue about, something that's not subjective, is that none of this stuff makes any money. It's just people are just tossing cash into it, and it's one of these big AI companies has ever run a profit, and it's the more customers you have, the more expensive it gets. Like it doesn't scale, you know. I don't know. I've been following this sort of thing for a while, and while I'm not an expert in this area, I'm a paleontologist. I'm at least not subject to this kind of like echo chamber of hype and less than honest reporting on, you know, the economic feasibility of these things. Like, the whole thing's going to crash and burn, and it better happen sooner rather than later, because the bigger that bubble gets before it bursts, the more harmful it'll be when it pops. So anyway, that's just my view as a paleontologist. My personal viewpoint doesn't represent any other institute group. That's me personally. So if you're mad about that, yeah. Anywho. Yeah. And there you go, Miss Strawberry. Yeah. Yeah. We're in the starting stages of it popping. Yeah. But yeah. And Reiko says, just keeping my finger on that pulse, given my colleagues who do study these things. Yeah. I imagine doing for too long, Reiko. I'm sure you've done some already about, like, you know, also a scientist here on Twitch, and a friend of mine, cool guy. He studies really important things, like really important. You know, there's so much misinformation and disinformation and just like weird ideas online and in the real world too. Why do people believe weird things? Everything from internet rumors to conspiracy theories. What convinces people of this stuff, and why do they kind of throw away reason in order to be able to embrace it? That's literally what Reiko studies as a cognitive scientist, and it's really interesting stuff. He talks about it on Wednesdays and Thursdays now on Twitch, and then the rest of the time he plays video games real fast as a speed runner. So if you like speed running, then you should go check out Rhacodactylus. Also, if you like science or, you know, empirically observed reality, you know, if you're a fan of evidence-based worldviews, go check out Rhacodactylus. I'm gonna get some more water here. And there you go, Reiko, yeah. And Balint is here too. We gotta do another shout out. Science Streams. How are you doing, Balint? I hope all is well in your world. If you like superb science outreach, friendly for all ages, you know, family friendly, all ages appropriate. If you like molecular and systems biology, if you like microscopy, you know, tiny worlds under the microscope, if you like fun cartoon characters who have an interesting basis in science, go check out Science Streams. Balint and Lita are molecular and systems biologists, and they stream here on Twitch, and they stream like 8 days a week. It's nuts. They stream way more than I do. So check them out. They do really, really cool stuff. Yeah. Alexander says, like how Dawn's bike is just lying on its side in the sand and sun. Watch out for the hot seat. Let's go see how hot that seat is on Dawn's bike. Let's see. Ow! No, I'm just kidding. Quality seat. It's not that hot. Avid bicyclist and athlete of all sorts, and I really like that he brings his bike out here each summer. That's how he gets to and from camp, which we all walk. Or I guess Jim drives, but Don likes to ride his bike. I think he's used to riding his bike more regularly back home, so having that here is, it's a creature comfort for him, you know? I think that's cool. Yeah. And Reiko says Don's shirts are all marathon shirts, right? Let's go see his shirt from today, but marathons, 5Ks, triathlons, bike charity events, all kinds of stuff. We'll go see what it is today. Let's see. And Luna Pass says, does anyone bring their own camper or anything like that? Nick has a trailer that he brought with him, camping trailer, but the rest of us have tents. Here, Don, we got a request to see your athletic shirt of the day.
I have a new one today.
Ooh.
A new one that no one's ever seen before.
Excellent, let's check that out.
And this one's good because it's the closest race to here that I've ever done. The Green River.
River Rampage.
Yeah, so we
That's
actually,
in Green River?
Yeah, we actually swam. They took us up above the bridge, and you swim down to the state park, and then ride around Green River, and then the run course was kind of along that state park golf course.
Nice.
Actually, I did it with Selena and Marina.
Okay.
Close. Marina didn't do it, but Selena did. But I think I did it 2 different years. But it's kind of cool.
2012 here.
It's kind of cool because you camp out at the state park, and then
That's really
that's
neat.
like the start of it. So it's nice. It's right there.
Awesome.
The one year I rode over to the, you have T1 where you go from swim to bike.
Yeah.
And then you come into T2, which is the bike to run.
Uh-huh.
But as I'm like finishing up the swim, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do as I get in there, because that's when you like put on your bike helmet, put on your bike shoes, and then what's that?
You don't swim in those?
No, they get a little soggy. And then as I'm like going through the mental checklist, I'm like, oh crap, I think my bike shoes are at the campsite still. Which is luckily wasn't too far off the bike course because I had ridden over, but just in my run shoes, so they were there for T2. But so then I just had to like ride over and then do a quick little detour, put on my bike shoes, and then go.
Got lucky, shoes.
So I don't think I lost.
How much time would that have really added though to not have your bike shoes?
I mean, maybe it was a minute altogether or something. It wasn't a big deal.
I mean, if you didn't have your bike shoes, how much would that affect your performance?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit on the bike because they have the cleats and you can lift up and all that. Yeah.
So they're not cleats, they're clips, or not clips, they're cleats.
Yeah, well, they're in the old days, which most young people would never remember, but back, like when I started, they had the pedals actually had a little cleat on the bottom that went on the back of the pedal, but then on the front there was like this little cage and actually like a strap. They used to call them rat traps. So it was so there you The problem with those is, in order to take them off, you have to reach down and like push this thing and undo the
Gotcha.
strap. And then they had what they call clipless pedals, which everyone has now. And so there's a cleat on the bottom that
Gotcha.
actually attaches to the pedal.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the bike I have here, I've got clipless pedals on there, but
Yeah.
I just put my shoes on, because I'm not.
Yeah.
So there, the thing is, you clip in, and so they're on solid, and then you just do a twist with your foot to
Gotcha,
get
okay.
out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they make a big difference because then you can do like a circular motion with your feet.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's that bottom part, because otherwise you can only push down. So the whole
Right,
rest
yeah.
of that is like kind of wasted motion. So, but, yeah, it wasn't a big deal. I mean, I'm kind of just doing it for fun anyway. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was kind of fun to have
That is cool.
Selena like that because she's not
Yeah.
much of a swimmer. So the downriver swim is kind of nice. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like I'm going fast.
got a tailwind.
Yay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I did it 2 seasons, but then unfortunately it was it's the same Try Utah that puts on all the other ones that I do around, like up, closer
Yeah.
to Salt Lake Park City, but
Right.
and I think I only had it for a couple of years and then it kind of went under because I guess
Gotcha.
maybe too far for people to drive to. There's not a big population center in the
Right.
Green River area, but it was
Not necessarily.
it was kind of fun.
Certainly not a metropolis.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Of course, that's
yeah.
when when you stay in the Green River in the campground there at like 2 a.m, like the train comes through. Like,
That's gotta be so loud. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I'm sure Green River near the trains, like get immune to it after a while.
Yeah.
But,
I used to live next to down my street by my old apartment in Oakland, literally down the middle of the street. Like there's the tracks there on the street, and it was like usually 2 or 3 every morning, and you do get used to it after a while. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Don. Yeah. We had a question in the chat. Is that the same Green River as up in Wyoming? And it is. It's a different town, but same river.
But yeah, the
Yeah.
Green River, Wyoming is a much larger town.
Yeah. Which is funny. Yeah. But yeah. That's funny because our other field work in Wyoming is near Green River, Wyoming, and our field work here is near Green River, Utah. It's no things are near in the Intermountain West out here. Everything's far away. Distances are vast. Populations are small. You know how it goes. But yeah. Anywho, Hecky Life says, humbling telling us he's a beast. Don is pretty impressive athlete for sure. Yeah, he did a triathlon right before coming out here. And yeah, I keep joking that Don is like, oh my goodness, can you believe that just is in his 40s? I think Don is 5 now. So yeah, being in your mid 60s and doing triathlons, that's but still like being pretty close to the podium every time, I think, in terms of placement. Like, yeah, it's pretty impressive, Yeah. Lenny says that's the level of stubborn I aspire to. Yeah. And Rebel Decibel says, what's the oldest person you've ever seen on a dig site? Oh, goodness, I don't know. I know we've had people... I've been on field crews with people in their 70s. Jim, I think, just turned 70 last year or the year before. So Jim is in his 70s. But yeah, we've had volunteers on field crews in their 70s before. Oh yeah. It's funny, many paleontologists are fairly long-lived. And in some ways that's surprising because, I don't know, many paleontologists, like earth scientists in general, geologists, have a reputation for drinking, maybe. I remember there's like an old joke about geologists, how they're really fascinating from a biological standpoint. Scientists who study rocks, geologists, for some, like, how is this even possible? The first alcohol-based life form? Paleontologists, we're not... Some of us are like that, but usually not to the same extent. But, you know, to be a paleontologist and to do field work a lot, it does require a certain degree of, I guess, physical fitness, or at least resilience or stubbornness. And that sort of thing it often correlates to being longer lived, I guess. If that makes sense. Yeah. And... I'll catch you later, Marco Tours. Thanks for being here. And... You're saying geologists drink a lot? Many people have said that, Lunapath. I'll leave it there. And Snowdenshi, there aren't any dig sites out here. Can I ask where that is, Snowdenshi? Because there might be. There's there are paleontological field sites in more places than you might imagine. If you're in Hawaii, then maybe not. But most other U.S. states at least have something. You know, we're spoiled out here in Utah because, you know, this area is just... It got very lucky in that there's a lot of Mesozoic age rocks, air fossils on the surface nowadays, and beautiful landscapes like this where you get lots of exposure. You know, you just find stuff on the surface, which is how these sites were discovered. Yeah. And this is true, Rhacodactylus. Yeah, I think I would agree that it's funny that, like, I think things are moving in the right direction. Scientific conferences in general often do have too much alcohol consumption. But with a lot of the younger generation of paleontologists that I know, you know, they're not into drinking, so I think things are moving in a positive direction there, like a much healthier relationship to alcohol. But yeah, I don't know. Still use some work for sure. And oh, an interesting Snowdenshi. Okay, yeah, you don't have to dox yourself. Sorry, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. But Vermont fossil sites. Somebody mentioned Vermont earlier. I actually don't know of many fossil sites in Vermont. But, you know, the internet is a phenomenal resource for things like this. If any of you are watching and you'd like to be able to do this kind of work or get involved with something like this, you know, just do some Googling around and see if there might be anything in your area, because chances are there that you'd never heard of before that you can find through a simple internet. Ah, those clouds. Thank you. Look at that. Nice. Bringing the shade. Yeah. Vermont is mostly rock. That makes a lot of sense. Neverwinter, yeah. It's mountainous. You're not going to find too many fossils there, but you've got upstate New York. You've got Connecticut has a lot of really cool fossils, including a ton of dinosaur tracks. The Connecticut River Valley, which I think might extend into New York as well, is famous for its dinosaur footprints. And I think the majority of people in Connecticut probably don't realize that. When you think of dinosaurs, you think of a place like Utah, or Montana, or Wyoming, or Mongolia, or Argentina. But, yeah, Connecticut's got its fair share of dinosaur fossils, mostly footprints, which are very cool. And let's see, might be some trilobite sites in Vermont. You might be right there, Neverwinter, yeah. And From Magos Informaticus, you mentioned that taphonomy means that big species are rarely preserved intact, articulated. I've also heard that very small species preserve poorly. Yeah, the thing is that larger bones are maybe more easily preserved because there's already a lot of mineral content in them. They tend to be more resilient if they're bigger. Like, they can fall apart and they're still identifiable, whereas if you have a bone that's this big, like the femur of a mouse, or let alone like the wrist bone of a mouse, tiny, tiny, delicate. My point there was not that smaller fossils are more easily preserved, because they're not. They're also not as easily discovered. But if we're talking about a complete dinosaur skeleton, the smaller you are as a dinosaur, the more likely, the less sediment it takes to cover your whole carcass and maybe preserve you intact. Does that make sense? Yeah. But yeah, smaller stuff is more easily comprehensively buried. Well put. Yeah. And I don't know, even if you had a complete skeleton of a 30-meter long sauropod, a long-necked dinosaur, 100 feet long, even if you could get all of that buried, like, say that animal was buried without being scavenged or torn apart, all the bones articulated, the chances that you will find that thing complete are very slim. Partly because it might take years or decades to excavate the whole thing. And if it happens to be on like a hillside, you might have to knock down the entire hill to be able to get to the rest of it, given that it's 100 feet long. But also, when we find these things in the first place, we find them by prospecting. So we're walking along, looking at the ground, looking for any bits of fossil bone or anything else like that that's eroding out of a hillside or out of the valley floor in this case. So in order to discover a large dinosaur skeleton, part of it already kind of has to have been destroyed because you're finding fragments on the surface. That's what leads you to the site. That's how you go, oh, maybe there's a dinosaur in there, as part of it is already blown out on the surface. With a lot of the smaller stuff, like out of Liaoning in China, these are preserved on, just slabs that, you pull these things out of the ground, you crack them open, and bam, there's a skeleton there. So you're not letting your erosion do the work for you. We got birds over there. I figured out the mystery of our nameless bird earlier this week, chat. Those are horned larks. They are horned larks over there. I opened up Merlin the other day, and it got it. Horned lark. Good stuff. Anywho. And Gowrock says, I guess you could have two of them close together. So the first one you find is eroded and the second one is preserved. That does happen sometimes. There's a place called Ghost Ranch in New Mexico where there's just hundreds, if not thousands, of Coelophysis dinosaurs that died and were preserved in the same place. And I'm sure the first ones to be discovered there were not intact. They were just, bits and bobs on the surface. But you dig in and there's just beautiful, complete skeletons. Some of them lying side by side, some of them intertwined. Look up some photos of the Ghost Ranch Coelophysis, and you'll see what I mean. So that does happen, yeah. But again, those are pretty small dinosaurs. Yeah. And let's see. I'm trying to see the username here. Who's this? Oh, Geekstore. Do you find folks are surprised by the amount of time it takes from discovering a site to dig and the time the paper is published? Yes, people are generally surprised by that. I was talking about this with Jim the other day. Let's go ask him. Mierosaurus, which is a long-necked dinosaur that came from literally right over there. So, this is the original Mierosaurus. Right over here. It's basically the strata above Wash. So, right over there. That's where this dinosaur came from, Mierosaurus. Jim talks about how incredibly fast that was from first discovery to getting that animal named and published. we'll go get the story from Jim about this. Give you some perspective. Jen Alex says, is satellite imaging useful to find sites? Not really. It can help you like scope out an area that looks promising. Like, oh, here's a few square miles over here that might yield cool fossils. But we don't find fossils with satellite imagery. You got to be there on the ground, picking things up with your fingers, turning them over, looking at them, sometimes breaking them apart to see the interior structure. Satellite data is not going to help you with that. But yeah. Jim, the other day we were talking about Mierosaurus and how quick that was. I want to give folks a sense of like the timeline for things in between the initial discovery of a site and then, say, when a new dinosaur gets published. What's the... I'll go on this side. What's the story there with Mierosaurus, and how is that fast or slow compared to what's typical?
It was pretty fast for...
Yeah.
Because I've been saying for years, you look at about a decade generally.
Yeah.
Gastonia, from the moment we knew we had it, the skull I knew I had, which was the holotype in 91. I named it 98. So that was like 7 years from the skull. I knew I had a dinosaur, but dinosaurs, I can crank them out if I got the material reasonably fast.
Yeah.
But the process is first you got to excavate.
Yeah.
Some quarries, you got to handle, but they're very dispersed. Like we have here with Cross Pelta.
Everything's all disarticulated.
Cross Pelta, I found the holotype pelvis like 20 years ago. But it took us a long time to get enough associated materials. We got parts of 3 individuals now. To really define and characterize. The holotype pelvis has diagnostic characters. But I like more than one character to define a taxon when I name it.
Right.
And there's a number when you put it all together. And that was 20 years. But when you first find something, you need to excavate it, record all the data in the field. If it takes years to excavate, that adds on to the thing.
Right.
Then it depends on your experience and what your background is on that group of animals. Ankylosaurs, I didn't know a heck of a lot about it. I never figured I'd be working on ankylosaurs.
Yeah.
I was like, I got a new ankylosaur. Whoa, what do you do? And you need to see comparative material. You cannot do it all from literature. And everybody, oh, you wrote a Star Trek novel. What that Star Trek novel did is it funded me on a tour of the major museums that house ankylosaurs in North America.
So you could become a world expert on these critters, just like looking at every specimen that's been collected.
I mean, I spent a week on Sauropelta. So it's still a real important animal. And I probably have the best photo collection still of Sauropelta that exists.
Nice.
And it's just the first oldest nodosaur we have. It's some grad student needs to re-describe it. Just saying. So you got to travel around museums, read the literature, study the stuff. We're in museums to sketch pictures of bones and make measurements, and it's a learning process. You discover that a lot of stuff, they even talk about it, but there may be no pictures at all of certain elements. And they say, oh, the vertebra are typical.
What does that mean?
Typical. Okay.
They're normal. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Or they're Pistocelus. Okay, great. What's the neural arch like? What are the caudal ribs like? I mean, it just drives you nuts. The stuff that's just not figured. Yeah. I figure a lot of stuff, but 6 years from Mierosaurus, we were all hands on deck excavating it. We had a lot of critical parts. At the time, it was the most complete Cretaceous sauropod individual in North America.
The Mierosaurus from here,
When we first dug it up, there's others that are probably more complete now. Individuals, and by just happenstance, I was working with colleagues in Spain. I've got they brought me over to work on ankylosaur. They look at their iguanodonts and working with that, and became good friends with the team in Spain at Dinopolis, and Raphael, Rafi, Torres, an expert on a thing called Turriosaurus. He named Turriosaurus.
Turriosaurus, yeah.
He named Turriosauridea, and they were the first ones to say this animal is basal to the Neosauropoda.
Right.
This is before the break between diplodocids and macroneurons.
Pretty early on, yeah.
So it's pretty early up the break.
Uh-huh.
But it's the dominant and the largest, pretty much in their mind, sauropod in the Jurassic of Europe.
Uh-huh.
And they have several specimens of it now. And soon after they found it, they found another taxa in Portugal, and there's probably 5 or 6 of them in Europe now.
Gotcha.
So it's a pretty important group, and Turriosaurs are valid.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of when we first started working on this, it's saying, well, our colleagues in Spain, pretty comfortable. We got a Turriosaur. They're going, they're not real. Yeah, they're real. Well, none of you guys have ever looked at one before. It's like, but I was very fortunate to link up with Raffi and brought him over. And he worked with us, and we had the material laid out. Brigham University had a close related animal,
Moabosaurus,
that they were working on. And they let me look at some of that stuff, and we let them look at our stuff. We'd work on separate projects, but we weren't closed about it.
Right.
We thinned the punch. They had theirs a lot longer, so I said, we're going to publish in about 5 years, or like 6 years or so. We're going to publish, I'm warning you, get your paper done. And they got before us.
Nice.
By months, really.
Good for them, yeah.
And we published in 2016. And theirs came out a bit earlier. And they're both Turriosaurs. So we got 2 Turriosaurs named within like a year of each other.
That's awesome, yeah.
First 2 from North America, and they're both from the yellow cat member of the Cedar Mountain. One, the lower yellow cat, the Bayesian interval, around 140 million for this bed. Below this, it goes down probably around 142, but it's probably around 140. And then their site, which is about 135. We don't agree on ages.
Yeah.
So don't tell. I'm putting words in BYU's mouth.
Yeah.
But there's good 5 million years between them, for certain. But they are related animals. Theirs is more specialized and just being distinctive. I mean, divided cervical ribs, so they fork as they go away from the vertebra. This animal doesn't do that. His features also in the vertebral column and stuff. But his ribs are pretty obvious when you look at the difference in the neck. So it takes a while, but you got to compare stuff. You got to look at collections, call other people that might know more about a taxa than you do.
Right.
Bring in people. Could be co-authors with you if it's a group you're not real familiar with. If you just try to do it all on your lonesome, you end up making big mistakes.
Oh yeah,
and
could be embarrassing.
Yeah. It's collaboration is really important. Networking in this profession to do good work. People get these egos, and it leads them down a rosy path. Off the edge of the big cliff. But generally, I suggest 10 years.
10 years in between the initial discovery of a dinosaur
I've cranked a few out quicker than that.
Yeah. So, thanks, Jim. Yeah. This is not fast science.
You got to photograph everything.
Right. Yeah.
You got to crop all your pictures. You got to make plates. You can make measurements of all your bones and make tables of measurement, comparing.
Yep.
I mean, it's like whoop, and it's out.
And then once all of this is done, you've got to put it through peer review and get it published. And that
people
that
say, "Oh, you're an idiot. Rewrite this and do this completely over," because I don't think that's a valid methodology to approach to deal with it.
That can add years to this process, and it often does.
And say, are they right? Or do I have to put a section in to explain why they're not right?
Right.
But you got to address it. Unless it's some really stupid comment, but you got to address it, even if you don't agree.
Yeah.
You don't just ignore it.
Yeah.
That's not how good science works.
Right.
But you got to take into account what your reviewers say about your work and move on. But then you get accepted, and after it's accepted, it may be a year and a half.
Yeah.
Before
just
the
in the backlog.
itself. Some journals. The wait between acceptance and it coming out is 2 years.
JVP was like that, where it was like a year or two. In between when it gets accepted for publication. It's all done, and it's just sitting there in the hopper. before it actually gets out there.
Because they just got to keep filling this stuff up. They only
Yeah.
publish so many pages
Yeah.
in a year, and it's the fact open source where publications can come out without having to be part of a whole volume. And are open to everybody in the world.
Yeah.
The democratization of our science.
Yeah.
So a lot of my papers,
Uh-huh.
you Google, my papers, you can go look at them online for free.
Yeah. No paywall. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, I believe so.
We've got an interesting comment in the chat from a friend of mine who also streams here on Twitch. He's a cognitive scientist. He says, I often wish more sciences were that slow-paced. My field, cognitive science, has people churning out minimally publishable units at such a pace that the field is littered with stuff that exists mostly to be a line item on a CV than to be a contribution to the field.
Yes,
So-
we see that here too.
Yeah, sometimes that does happen in paleo, but...
People name something off of a fragment doesn't deserve it.
Yep.
It happens all the time. Oh, I'll get a big, paper on this and I'll make claims. And, that's why we have peer review. But, there's just keeping up in paleontology because it's popular.
Right.
Right now, there's more dinosaur paleo, dinosaur paleo,
Yeah.
working than probably combined.
It's funny to
Truly.
think about,
Yeah, but it's true.
If you were to estimate, Jim, how many dinosaur paleontologists are we saying? We're not talking 1,000. We're
we're
fewer than
talking
500, probably.
Probably, I wouldn't say much more than 100.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's people that are, like on the margins doing paper here and there, but in terms of people that really do dinosaur paleo globally, I would say only around 100.
Shoot.
Because they're real different. There's people that they publish a paper, every decade.
Yeah.
The real dedicated folks like Xu Xing, China, Octavio Mateus, and Portugal. It's like, you can name it in one hand. I mean, there's only so many jobs for people that are doing nothing but dinosaur work.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really about 100. There are people that work in other jobs. I got part of a dinosaur. And
Right.
Crank out a paper. Maybe it's not as good. Maybe it is good, depending on,
But do you consider yourself a dinosaur paleontologist?
On all kinds of stuff. But I'm the most, one of the most diversified dinosaur paleontologists anywhere. There's no question. I'm too stupid to realize what I should be working on. But it's, I love this stuff, and it's basically, we just got to keep up, producing, these materials. People need to publish. People sitting on stuff 20 years, cross pelta, I had good reason. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Right now I'm in, cranking on a number of ankylosaurs. Everything's, fresh, and I've got to get them out if they're going to come out.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Jim. Yeah. So hopefully that offers some useful perspective to everybody at home about how long these things take and why they take so long. Scientific work, it takes time. That's one of the... I make an important distinction about stuff sometimes with, like, I do a tally every year of, like, how many new dinosaurs have been published in the past year. Published... You actually have like a date on that. You get to and go, okay, this is when this is published in the scientific literature. It's different from discovered. The same dinosaur might get discovered multiple times by multiple people, and then it's like, well, which day was it actually discovered? And this is when the fossil was collected from the field, but then it sat, in a jacket, unopened and unidentified for 2 decades. Discovered is much more loosey-goosey than described, published. So, how many new dinosaurs were discovered this year? Nobody knows how many new dinosaurs have been discovered in 2026, because they're not out yet, There's people who have unnamed dinosaurs in laboratories and museums around the world. The date of publication is what actually matters. That's when it becomes official, if that makes sense. And in between that initial discovery and publication, like Jim said, it's usually around a decade. It could be shorter than that, or it could be a lot longer. Holy cow. There are dinosaurs that were discovered, like excavated and put into a collections, 100 years before they're actually published on. That happens. Oftentimes it's like people don't recognize that it's actually something new. Or maybe it was something really fragmentary that nobody thought to publish on back then. And then, like Jim said, sometimes people publish on fragmentary stuff that they probably shouldn't. But yeah, I don't know. There's always exceptions to all these things and interesting in-betweens and yeah. But shoot, only 100 dinosaur paleontologists in the world. That's going to get down to like, what do we consider a dinosaur paleontologist? How much do you have to focus on dinosaurs? But if that's the case, 100, then I've probably worked with a fifth of them. Yeah. Jim, Denver, Carrie Woodruff, Liz Friedman Fowler, yeah, a number of other people. John Scannella. I've worked with a good number of the world's portion of dinosaur paleontologists, which is funny. Yeah. Tech Bird says, "Finish that paper" is a phrase I've learned not to say. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and there you go, Reiko. Yeah, that's the thing, is that like nothing's ever truly like complete in science. We're always learning new things, refining the story further, correcting old mistakes, and plugging gaps in our knowledge and things we may have overlooked. Science is not a body of knowledge, really. It's not like some dusty book setting up on a shelf somewhere. Science is a process. It's an endeavor. It's an act that we carry out and collaborate on. And I think that's one of the things that makes science really beautiful and so meaningful, It's like scientific truth in like a lofty sense. It's like the horizon. It's ever receding. You keep, approaching it, but you'll never actually get there. But in a way, getting there is not really the point. There is no scientific nirvana that we hope to achieve where, oh yes, we now know everything and now we can sit down and rest. No, that's not how it works. We're discovering new stuff all the time, and even if you keep walking toward the horizon and you never actually get there, given that the Earth is not flat, it's round. The horizon's ever receding. Think how much ground you're covering. Think of all the cool things you're discovering along the way. And I encounter this attitude from people sometimes. They're like, well, why even bother if you'll never actually learn everything? Why bother learning anything at all if you can't learn everything? Well, what are you talking about, Just because we'll never know everything, just because the infinite is infinite, doesn't mean that we shouldn't do things that we find meaningful, things that will improve the world that we live in. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't continue pursuing knowledge and making new discoveries and sharing them with the world. In a way, it's comforting that we'll never get there, that it'll never be over, There will always be more science to do, and that is exciting. N Simplex Pachenko, how are you doing? Hello, and thank you for the raid. Hope you had an excellent stream. Tell me about it if you'd like to. Yeah. NPC Upvote says, what's a digging day you will never forget? Ooh, I've got a few that I'll never forget. But yeah, maybe my most memorable digging day. I'm saying this like it's a thing. We don't normally say that, but my most memorable day in the field had to have been in 2012. I was in the Judith River Formation with Denver and Liz Friedman Fowler up near Rudyard, Montana. And it was one of my first days ever out prospecting in earnest. I think it was the first day I'd ever spent the entire day prospecting. That means walking around looking... Oop! Camera's not supposed to turn like that. Stay. Walking around looking at the ground, looking for any fossil bones eroding out on the surface. This is how we discover new sites. That morning I was... something I dreamed of since I was a little kid. Like, I have the potential to discover a new species. How incredibly cool would that be? And so I asked my crew chief and mentor at the time, Denver Fowler. I said, Denver, what do you want for me to find today? Like, what should I find for you? Give me a task here. You tell me what you want, I'll find it for you. And Denver's like, Danny, that's not how that works. Like, stop being annoying. And I was annoying back then. I'm like, no, Denver, tell me what I'm going to find for you. You know, what should I be on the lookout for? And he kind of rolls his eyes and he goes, okay, find me a ceratopsian. Because if we find a ceratopsian dinosaur in that formation, it would be new. Ceratopsians are the horned dinosaurs like Triceratops. And I said, okay, Denver, I'm going to find you a ceratopsian. So we go out prospecting and we each walk. You know, radio transmission distance of one another. But walking around, looking at different things eroding out of the crumbs going up the hill. So most of that day, I'd found only a few different things that weren't particularly exciting. I found one big cool bone that I was real jazzed about until I found a scratch awl in the rock right next to it. It turns out that bone had been previously discovered probably 20 years before and left there by another crew. Probably by Bob Harmon back in the day. And so anyway, it's getting late. The sun is starting to descend toward the horizon. And it's almost time to go get back on the ATVs and ride back to camp. And so I'm kind of circling back and the day's almost over. And then I see something. Big, orange, flat bone coming out of a hillside. And kind of instantly I knew that it was significant. And I kind of knew it could be one of three things. It could be maybe a turtle, especially like the plastron, big chest plate of a large fossil turtle. It could be like, say, the ilium of a largish dinosaur. It'd be cool, but, you know, not super stellar or anything. Or a ceratopsian. And I go over there and I look at it, I scratch around a little bit. It's either a turtle, maybe a hip, or I don't even know if I said ceratopsian at the time because I couldn't believe that's what it could be, and that's exactly what it was. We went back, we excavated it that summer, and that was the Daniceratops specimen, which should be a new species of horned dinosaur. Denver's working on that in between a bunch of other projects right now. Hopefully in the next couple years it gets published. But that was one of my first days ever prospecting, and found a new species of dinosaur. I will never forget that day. That was pretty stellar, you know? Very early in my career. Still probably the best thing I've ever found. I don't get much opportunity for prospecting nowadays, especially when I'm out here with a project like this, because I'm streaming for 3 hours every afternoon, and then just working in the quarry, you know, in the morning and early afternoon. Not really a lot of time for prospecting, but rest on that laurel a little bit. It makes me feel better about not doing as much prospecting. Something really cool back then. Hopefully will be published soon. So yeah. Galrock says, what are the odds that someone will find a new dinosaur on their very first full day? Close to zero. I don't know. Not big chances. But that's what happened, you know? You never know when you're going to find something incredible like that. That's one of the reasons why fieldwork is so exciting. And it's one of the reasons I'm happy to be able to share that with you. So, yeah. Anywho. With that said, I'm going to wrap this up. It's really hot out, and I want to help actually take down the shade tarps today with everybody else. So we are going to wrap up this broadcast. into somebody else doing some science right now on Twitch, if I can find somebody doing some science. Let's see. Home, watch, following. Casey Snowart is on. Well, well, well. We are going to go right into Casey. That'll be good. She's doing some dinosaur illustration. Superb. So the dinosaur content will continue until and after morale improves. Excellent. Thank you everybody for being here today. I know today was kind of a slow day. Not very many people in the quarry today. Not too many bones to look at, but I still appreciate you being here and asking these questions and just hanging out. This has been a lot of fun. I want to give special thanks to people who rated in. Thank you, raters. Helps people find the channel. Thank you, new followers. I hope you'll continue to tune in over the next couple weeks as I'm out here in Utah digging, and then back when I'm home in California going over fossil news and doing all those cool office streams. Lots of neat stuff coming up. Thank you to the subscribers, the gifters, and the cheerers, the people who make these streams possible through their financial support. Couldn't do this without you. And thank you once again, as always, to the moderators who keep this a safe and welcoming community for everybody. Couldn't do this without you, mods, especially when I'm in the field. So, hope to see you all again tomorrow. Till then, you all take care of yourselves, and let's go see what Casey's up to with those dinosaur illustrations. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.